click recording
Make
cloud.
sure I click what?
Recording to the cloud, not
I
to your.
did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
but then I'm going to download it anyway. I have to download it on a hard drive and then upload it to YouTube and then create a link to put it on Gateway. So I'm going to be downloading it on my hard drive
Oh.
anyway at some point.
Hmm.
So welcome. Now, I forgot to bring my iPad downstairs. So my notes, when I share a screen, you might be reading my notes too at the same time. I'm sorry about that. But I was like, oh, I didn't bring my iPad down. So I could read my notes while, and I'm going to try to make sure I see people if they come in a little bit late. So welcome
Okay.
to
I'll
the
watch. I'll watch for participants, Joni.
just give me a shout. Well, welcome. Thank you. I got a very big response. Several of you were in the Lightroom SIG 2 years ago, where we really went through A to Z on Lightroom. What do I think it was 13 weeks we did it? It was a long time.
It was a
And
lot.
videotaped it, video recorded it, and it's on our website. But this is not a tutorial, and I was pretty clear about that in the email, I think, to people. But Adobe made some pretty significant changes. It was actually October 2022, I think, 2023. And I wasn't prepared to do anything at that point in time. And then my mother has health issues, so time just gets away from me. So I've been meaning to do this for a long time because I think that it's information that people should at least know about. And whether you change your workflow, that's certainly up to you. There are some benefits of keeping Lightroom Classic if that's what works for you. But we'll go through what the differences are and take it from there.
Tony,
Yes,
should we open up our Lightroom to
I would
follow
say
along with you?
no.
No?
Well,
Okay. That's why I asked.
no, I mean, I guess you could if you wanted to, but I think that would be a little distracting. I am going to share my screen. If I, again, got to remember here it is, share. Share my screen. There we go. And I'm going to do my desktop, right? And I don't need to worry about that. And allow. Now, can you see my screen?
We
Yeah.
see your Zoom screen.
All right, so here's my Lightroom. You see my Lightroom?
Yep.
Yes.
We do.
All right, and you're gonna see my notes in a minute too, and I hope that doesn't
Yep. We
mess
do.
people
Yep.
up too much. I'll try to get it, move it out of the way when I can. So like I said, this is not a tutorial. So the version of Lightroom that's everybody sort of is used to now, it's been commonly known for a couple of years as Lightroom. I have to do this right. Lightroom Classic, or LrC. And then if you wanted to share your images with friends and family in the cloud and use it on your iPhone, your iPad, or your phone or your tablet, that was called Lightroom Creative Cloud, LrCC. Well, now they've changed. Lightroom Classic is still the same, but Lightroom Creative Cloud is now just called Lightroom. So it's all very confusing. But Lightroom is a cloud-based platform, but it happens to have almost all of the benefits of Lightroom Classic without the catalog. There is no catalog. The catalog, if you recall, is a place where Lightroom stores information about where your pictures are and what edits are applied to each picture. Sometimes you can put the edits alongside as a sidecar in your files, but basically Lightroom is like I always describe it as if you go to the library and you want to look at where a book is, and you say, okay, I'm going to look it up by title and author, and you go to the card catalog, and the book is not in the card catalog. There's just a card that tells you what the address is of the book in the library. So I learned Lightroom made sense to me when somebody explained it to me like that. Well, in that's Lightroom Classic. In Lightroom, without a card catalog, we're only mapping our pictures to wherever they are on your computer or external hard drive. This is just a mirror. The organizational system is just a mirror, just like your Finder is for Apple and Explorer is for PCs. So it's simplicated.
Would
It's
you say it's a
simplified.
bridge?
I haven't worked with Bridge since I went to Creative Cloud. I mean, when I had a standalone Photoshop, a long time ago. I think I used Bridge. Bridge, can you edit in Bridge, or could you only organize in Bridge and then take the image from Bridge to Photoshop?
You could label, you could,
No, edit, like make,
no,
change exposure. Yeah.
negative.
So this takes Bridge one. It's Adobe Camera Raw. I mean, it's very similar to Adobe Camera Raw, which is a separate thing prior to Photoshop. It's also a filter in Photoshop. But anyway, so for me, the biggest pro to using Lightroom is not having a catalog. You don't have to import your pictures, or if they're on your computer or on a hard drive or somewhere how attached in a flash drive, you can view them in Lightroom. You don't have to wonder, well, where are my photos? If I move something in Lightroom, it moves on your hard drive as well, and vice versa. They sync. That syncing. This is actually just looking at your hard drive. It's an organizational system that doesn't create a catalog. You don't have to back up the catalog. You don't have to worry about the catalog getting corrupted. And you have all the same editing choices. You can put your photos up into the cloud if you want to, but it is not required. You can do everything you want to do without. Some people are very afraid of the cloud. They don't trust the cloud. That's fine. You don't have to use the cloud. That's a separate part integrated within Lightroom. It's not automatic. Now, if you're used to all those modules at the top of your Lightroom Classic, where you have library, develop, print, there's no module. So one negative is you can't print from Lightroom, only Lightroom Classic in the module. There are other printer softwares out there. There's Epson and Canon have their own, and some people like that a lot better. I haven't done a lot of printing lately, so I can't speak to that. But there's certainly, you could, if you have a picture you want to print, you could certainly import it. So you always have, like, if you have the Adobe Creative Cloud, and I apologize if I talk too fast, please slow me down. Frank, there's nobody waiting in the waiting room, right?
No, I'll let them if they do.
Can you? Okay. Are you co-host? Okay.
Yep.
So, what was I saying? Printing. Where else did I go? So Lightroom Classic has all the modules. If there's something that you really want to do in Lightroom Classic, you could certainly take a photo that you're really happy with. If you want to print it, import that one photo to Lightroom Classic and do your whole printing the way you would do it, that way you're used to. Or you could get another printing program. There are a few out there. So that's one of the cons. You don't get all those modules. And the only labeling and sorting that they haven't integrated into Lightroom yet are color labels on pictures. And I see that changing in the future because they've already changed some things since they initially rolled it out and added some more features. But honestly, if they put all the features that Lightroom Classic in, then they were going to have Lightroom Classic. There'd be no reason for this. So this is dialed down a little bit, but not in any way that I have found has impacted me. But once you have the information, you can decide what works for you. So
Joni?
let's go. Yes.
Joni, I have a question. So
Yes.
when you have the card from your camera,
Mhm.
you import right to your hard drive. You set up a folder on your hard drive and
Yep.
import to your hard drive. So you're still making a folder. You're just
Right.
not doing it through Lightroom.
Right. But Lightroom will see it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so I do a photo shoot. I put my card reader into the computer and I copy all of my images into a new folder. I use external hard drives. Let me
Whereas
minimize this.
before you would have done it through Lightroom. In other words, you would have imported through Lightroom, made a folder and done it that way. So you're changing that aspect.
Well, you are moving the pictures. You're not importing. You're moving them from. I don't have a card with me, but let's say this is a card reader, even though it's not. And let's say no. Let me go to this one. This one. Let's say this is a card reader. Where's my folders? It's loading. There's a lot of pictures on that one. So I would copy a folder from here and bring it into here. Like I organize mine by year and date. That's my organizational process. So here's all my folders so far from 2025 of photo shoots I've done. So I'd go in here and I would create a new folder. This is my an external hard drive that's on my desktop plugged into my computer, and I would title this whatever I want to title it, and then I would take all the pictures. You can all see my cursor, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so I would take any pictures that were on my card, CF Express card, SD card, whatever, and I would copy them and move them into here. So once that happens, let me just delete this.
So
There
you
we go.
can't just drag and drop, you have to copy.
Well, you could highlight. No. I do drag and drop.
Okay,
I actually do drag and drop, but this isn't opening up. Let me find something that maybe will open up. What's this? I don't know. I'm just waiting for these. I was waiting for these folders to open. No, I actually do. I go into whatever folder I want. I select all and I do drag them over into it using my cursor. I do drag and drop.
okay.
Absolutely. So then once I've done that, so this is the Lightroom interface. I probably should open Lightroom Classic, and I certainly can at some point. I just don't want to slow my computer down too much. So this is the interface right here of Lightroom, and it has this menu bar up here, the taskbar up here, the menu bar, that doesn't change. Like if you were in Lightroom Classic and you were in Library module, these choices could change, and the choices within them could be highlighted or ghosted or not. Each module would be different. This stays the same because there's no modules. And you have the local tab and the cloud tab. The local is your finder or your explorer, and excuse me, here's browse. So if you're in local and you're browsing, these are all my hard drives that are attached to my computer, and this is my internal hard drive right here. Time machine. And then the reason we were in favorites is because I typically, when I open up, I'm using OneDrive usually when I'm editing. I'm usually just editing the current year. So I've got my 2025 folder favorited. It's still here. It's 2025. I didn't move it. It's not copied. It's just pointing it to, I don't have to go through my whole menu to find the folder that I want to edit with. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Does it retain the last folder you were in?
Yes. But see how I have a star next to it here? Let me remove from favorites. And now I'm just in my browser. So if I turn on Lightroom, this is typically how it would open up. But then I have taken I have one hard drive called 2024 and 2025, and within that is a folder 2025. And I just, when I hover over it, there's an ellipsis, there's things I can do, like changing the name of it. And I can add it to favorites, or I can just click the star and add that to favorites. So now it's still here. You can still see it on my hard drive, but if I go to my favorites, it's just less navigating for me to do, because this year, this is mostly where I'm going to put all my photos that I'm going to work on this year. Up here is the search bar, and this little icon is for filtering. So if I click on the filter, now you have not all of the filters that you had in Lightroom Classic, but you can filter by your star ratings, your pick flags, images that you've edited. And anytime you see one of these arrows, you can, like I can just say, are any of these edited? It's just a few in this file folder edited. So I can filter by edited, copy to cloud, none of these are. Type raw, keyword, none of these are keyworded, but if I had keywords, you could filter by keywords, by the
Jillian?
camera you use.
Yeah.
Yes.
Could I just stop you a minute? I have run
Yes.
into this on my screen. I have at the top of my screen the message that this meeting is being recorded. And
Yeah.
what happens is it's covering a lot of what you're pointing out. And when I'm watching competition, it also covers the scores and the names. I accidentally have managed to get rid of it, but I don't know how I got rid of it.
You should
I
said
pick
okay.
a box that says okay. Just click the okay button.
Oh, wait, okay. Oh, thank you. Very simple. Thank you. Sorry to
Okay.
interrupt. Thank you.
You're
Okay.
welcome.
So, X out of that. So these are the filter options that you can use.
How did you get the
Look,
filter options displayed?
on the top of where the search bar is up here,
Yeah.
there's this, I call it a funnel.
Oh, okay.
And if I turn that off, it goes away.
I
And when
see.
I click on it, it comes back. And like Lightroom Classic, it can only filter the folder that you're in. So I'm in this tabletop photography folder right now. That's the one that's active. If you can tell, it's a little bit darker on the sidebar here. So you can only search what you're. If I highlighted all of 2025, I don't see that. Let's see. Let's see if it does this. No, I can't do it on the whole hard drive, or just on that folder. I guess I have to be in a folder, and that's
Johnny,
when
I
you
have
can
a
search.
question.
Sure.
So when you import the pictures, can you assign any keywords like in
No,
Lightroom
there's no
Classic?
importing.
I'm sorry?
No, there's no
Okay, no
importing.
importing. So if you are to search for, let's say flowers, you have a vase,
Yep.
flowers.
Right.
The keyword is obviously is grayed out. So
Because I have not keyworded this yet. I'm going to do it as we
you can
go
do
along.
that after the fact.
Yeah. So I'm going to select all right now, because let's say I want all these to say flowers.
Right.
Let me
And
see.
then you can search on keyword, obviously.
Yeah. Let me just do this. So on the bottom right-hand side, I was going to go over the integration of the whole thing first, but just so on the bottom right-hand side, there's this little tag icon. And when I click on the tag, I can add keywords up here. So I can do flowers. Actually, not everything in this folder is flowers. And I can do vase. I can do dead flowers, dead, whatever. But that's how, now all of these have keywords, add to 200, but I'm going to cancel because I don't actually want them at all. Hold on. I want them, I'm going to deselect these. I'm going to put them on up to here. Then I did some stupid stuff. And now I'll put flowers here. And I'll add those to that. And these next photos here, these were water droplets. It was a new attempt of mine. There you go. Not water drops, water droplets.
Is it case sensitive, Johnny, the keywords?
No.
Your water drops were nice on Facebook also, Joni.
Thank you. That,
Beautiful.
yeah, thank you. So now I have keywords. So if I wanted to search by keyword, now this is highlighted up here. And now I could. Those are the two keywords I've used in this folder. And extension must be TIFF and raw JPEG. And okay, I don't have any TIFF. So there's JPEGs in there. I don't know why there's JPEGs in here. Oh, because I did some, I think these are focus stat. No, I don't know why they're JPEGs in there. But most of them are raw.
This is Andrea. When you
Hi.
have keywords, if you pull up orange flowers in a vase, will it only search in the folder, say for 2024-25, or will it search everywhere?
No, it's only going to search in the active folder, tabletop photography. And it will only
Okay.
search for keywords that I put in. It's not like AI.
But if
Okay,
you
but-
select, Joni, if you selected the 2025, the top folder,
Yeah,
would
nothing
it
came
then
up.
search for everything below it?
No, because there's no pictures in 2025. There's only folders in 2025.
Okay, so it doesn't look for children folders.
Correct. It doesn't look for what folders? Children
The
folders,
child
right.
folders under the.
Right. So let's say I made, let's say I took, I'm going to take like 5 pictures here, just these 5 pictures, right? And I'm going to put them in 2025. So now I actually have pictures in 2025, I believe. And let me just stop that. Let's see. Yeah, see, there they are. So now I've got pictures in 2025, but
Okay,
so they will be there, but only those pictures. It's not, and I wonder if there's a way to, I was wondering if there was a way, a setting in preferences or something that would say, I can research that and get back to you. If
Yeah.
if you can say, show folders within, within the folders. But I
Go
don't
to
think so.
Go to import.
There's no import.
Yes, there is.
No,
I
there's
can
not.
see it.
Right here?
Yeah. And what does it say there?
I don't know, because you don't import in the traditional sense.
Maybe under,
Well,
Oh, you're doing, so I'm sorry. You can input that this is later on in the night. You can import, all right, let me stop a second
okay.
so I don't get confused myself. So we have this, I was going to talk about this more at the end of the night because this is a big question, but I think everyone's going to want to know the answer. So these images, all of these on my, where are I? All of these images on all of my hard drives. How come I'm not, let's say that. These images, not these ones, because I haven't done Lightroom for this. Let's say the ones from 2022, right? Now my mouse is stuck. And now I'm slow. So I have images in the folder 2022 from images I took in 2022 before Lightroom was a thing. Those pictures were imported into Lightroom Classic and I edited them and everything else. When I look at those images, because I can still see them in Lightroom because they're on my hard drive, when I look at those images, they're only the raw images. Remember, Lightroom never actually changes your raw image. Your edits are a sidecar or a set of directions applied to this picture that you view. So when I look at in Lightroom pictures that I had imported into Lightroom Classic and haven't touched since then, I won't see my edits. What you need to do is import, it's really exporting, but there's a way in Lightroom Classic that you say, take all of these pictures and make the edits viewable in Lightroom. You're moving those XMP files, the sidecars, from the catalog to the folder next to each image. Does that make sense?
Okay, but say you start off in Lightroom
Lightroom, yep.
and you edit a picture and it creates a sidecar. When you import that into your catalog in Lightroom Classic, will that sidecar and all of your edits come into Classic with it?
Yes, I believe so.
So I'm thinking
I
like,
think that you know what, I'm gonna have to test that. So let me, I'm gonna have to start a list here.
because I was thinking mainly like if you're traveling and you want to take your little laptop
Yeah.
with you to travel and just, work in Lightroom while you're traveling and then come home and import everything you've done into Lightroom Classic, will all your flags and edits and everything come over?
Yes, and I'm not gonna do that anyway. I'm gonna go on a trip. I'm gonna edit, bring my hard drives. I'm actually gonna bring my iPad and edit in Lightroom on my iPad because it's the same as it is on my computer. There's no difference. And I'll do all my edits there. And then when I plug my hard drive into my computer, they're all there. There's no
Okay.
importing or moving or anything.
Yeah, but if you wanted then to move them over into Classic, you could, and the edits would come forward with them, right?
Well, let's ask that. Let me just make a note. I'm going to test that for you and get back to you.
Okay.
If you edit in LR and import to LrC, do XMP files. Okay, there was another question a few minutes ago. What was that one?
Tony, I have a question on that.
Can we just for a second? What was I think Alan asked it. We were wondering. Oh, parent folder. Okay. I'll remember that. Parent child folders.
That was Frank.
Folders. The search filter option. That will remind me. Okay. Beth, go ahead.
So you said that if you were traveling and you had your iPad with you and you were doing your edits on your iPad and all that,
Because my iPad has something that will connect an external hard drive and a card reader into it. So I
Okay,
can look at my card reader and move them onto my iPad if you have enough storage on your iPad. And you can edit it right from the hard drive. Actually, I move them from the card reader to the external hard drive, and then do all
okay,
my editing through the external hard drive, and then go home, plug it into my desktop, and everything's there.
but
Hmm.
do you have to add, are they in the Lightroom cloud or are
No,
they?
no,
So
we haven't even
when
begun
you-
the cloud yet.
When you plug in your iPad into your computer,
Not my
Yeah.
iPad, the external hard drive.
I mean, how are you going to get your photos from your iPad to your?
They're not going to be in my iPad. A Lightroom is just on it. I'm just using Lightroom to edit them. They're never going onto my iPad.
Oh, okay, so your external hard drive is attached to your iPad somehow.
Right, correct.
Okay,
Got like a USB cord or something like that?
Yes.
Is that how it works?
Yeah, I have, Charlene calls it a dongle or something. It's this thing. So this plugs into the side of my iPad. And then I
Oh.
have 4 USB ports here. So one has a card reader and one has the hard drive attached. And then you can see it in Finder, just like you can on your iPad or your computer. I mean, your laptop or your computer.
I have to get one of those.
It's a
Yeah, they're
dongle.
like $10 on Amazon. They also have some
Does it
that
come-
have card readers in them too. So
Mm,
Not as reliable.
no,
those aren't as
probably not.
reliable as dedicated card readers.
Probably not.
And how many like terabytes, if she was gonna get one, or would you recommend like a terabyte or
So
how
I
much?
do a terabyte and it lasts me like 2 or 3 years worth of photos. It obviously depends on how many photos you shoot, what size your camera, megapixels, and how if you're RAW or JPEG. I mean, those are all gonna make a difference. But I don't like to have more than 1 terabyte because I feel like if it got corrupted, and I've got it backed up, but if it gets corrupted, then I don't have like 5 terabytes to worry about. I only have 1.
But when you come back from travel, you take that 1 terabyte drive and you move it over to your permanent drive, right? So it's only on that 1 terabyte drive just while you're traveling?
Well, so I haven't done that so much. To be honest with you, like I go to the Cape a lot. And if I'm photographing down the Cape, I do have a travel hard drive. So that I do that with. But like I'm going to Africa and I'm probably going to take, I don't know, I haven't decided yet. Someone said I should take a 4 terabyte hard drive or 2 4 terabyte hard drives. So I'm downloading them onto both hard drives, not doing anything with one of them. And so I don't lose any of those pictures. So I haven't had such a big trip that I've had to worry about it. Well, although when I went to Iceland, I think I took this travel one and I edited it on my iPad.
And don't put it in
And then I
suitcase.
moved these images onto the 2024
Mhm.
folder on my 2024, 2025 hard drive. Yeah. So but I don't think I'm going to do that for Africa. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I think Bob Freeling said he took 11,000 pictures a day, which when I do the math,
What?
like,
I'm going to need a
wow,
lot of CF cards.
oh my
I don't know
God.
why I can't open these folders. I just don't know why. These are not opening. So that's unfortunate.
While you're waiting, can I ask a quick question?
Please, yeah.
Are there
They're just
are there
opening.
certain cards that are better than others? I thought I heard somebody say that at one point, a couple of
A lot of people are
meetings.
talking about, well, you're talking about SD cards or
Yes. The
I
ones
mean,
you stick.
I've used LrCR Pro and I've never had a problem, and the faster the better. And again, same theory. I don't do like 512 megabytes. I like to have like 64 and 128. I don't like to keep a million pictures in one place. I'd rather use 3 or 4 different cards. And then when I know they're backed up, then I format them before I use them again. But I'll be bringing a lot of cards to Africa. I think we figured out I have to have like 10 cards if I shoot as much as Bob Freeling did. So anyway, so these are images that are in these have I've never looked at these images in Lightroom. These images were imported into Lightroom Classic and were edited. And let's see if I look, so you can see this is a TIFF. So that means I took it into some other program. Here's a this is a raw file. So if I go here, I just want to see if there's any edits. There shouldn't be. Yeah. This is the editing panel, which we haven't gotten to yet because we got off track. No, it's going to take its own sweet time. But I mean, typically I would have added texture or maybe a vignette, clarity vignette on something like this, and there isn't any. So this is just the raw photo. So we were talking about if I want this image with its edits in Lightroom, which I don't, this isn't a great image, but if I wanted to do that, there is a way, and I've got it's at the end of my notes, but there is a way to take your image with the edits and bring the edits over to this image on your hard drive. Right now they're in a catalog, they're in another place where you can move them. So without us getting too stuck in that yet, can we just go on to the interface a little bit?
Yep.
Okay. So we're talking about this at the top toolbar, edit, turn this on and off, filter rather, turn this on and off here. There's also a breadcrumb of the top here. So if I just want to go back to this main folder, which I don't, 2022, go here. Now it's going to be slow. I'm going to go back to my favorites folder because at least that's quicker. But there's that breadcrumb that you can go back and forth. And there's these arrows up here at the top that you can go forward or back wherever you've navigated. And this bar, which I probably won't be able to do right now. Yeah, this bar here, it will take away your whole Finder or browser in here so that you have more room to look at the picture to edit. Oh, what is this? I have no idea what that is. That's an outtake, dude. Go into here where this is faster anyway. So none of these pictures I would have to worry about because I've never imported these images. All right, so where was I? So then the bottom is just like Lightroom Classic. You've got your slide thing here, and you can size these. And you can use the bar to scroll through to the end. You hit the G key, and you've got your group images, and you just double click on an individual one, same as Lightroom Classic. On the bottom left, you've got, that's your grid, your group grid. You can look at compare two pictures. And I'm not sure which pictures these are that they chose for me. I think usually you have to bring them in if you want to compare two pictures. You just click them and drag them up into the squares if you have two pictures you want to compare, and then this is back to the single image. You can also sort pictures down here by capture date, import date, date last modified, the file name, star rating, and you can reverse the order if they're all, like right now mine's all by capture date. If I reverse the order, it would be the last ones first in the grid. I'll go to the grid. Now these are it's reversed. If I scroll all the way up to the top, those are the last images. So there's that sorting. You can change the thumbnail size on the slide bar down here. I'm not sure what this is. Notifications. I don't know what that is. I guess that has to do with the cloud. I believe that's going to be, so if you have a picture in the cloud and you shared your images with somebody, let's say you have a client that you shared a portfolio of their pictures with them, they might comment on images and say, okay, print this one or do this one, make this one a black and white. If they make a comment on your images, those are in the cloud. You would see notifications up here. This is the export button, and you can export custom settings, which is for competition is what you would want to do. This is what they call sticky, meaning whatever settings you last used will be there. So my guess is it's a competition, but I don't know that for sure. It must be because I'm on Zoom. This happened to us 2 years ago too, right? I was always really slow when it was on Zoom.
Why don't we shut all our video off?
Maybe. Can try it.
What?
We'll see if it works. So yeah, this is the last export. So you can, like, for a competition, we would do JPEG long side by 1400, give it a custom name, and sharpen for output for screen, sharpen for screen, and then you would export. I have 2 photos picked. I don't know why. You would export the 2 photos, and you have to decide where you're going to export them, on a folder, in a hard drive. You know, that's the export process. Any questions on that? Because that's something usually people want to know about. No questions?
Can
Your
you say that
microphone's off.
again?
Yep.
I was,
So, can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
Do you have to just do that Lightroom if you are on a different, like, phone and all that? You can't use Classic. Classic is only for the computer, is it?
No. Oh,
Yes.
well, so in Lightroom Classic, there is something called collections. We haven't gotten that far tonight yet, but collections have always been able to store in the cloud. If I had a photo shoot for a family that I did on the beach, or a newborn session, when my final best images, I would create a collection, name the collection the customer's name, and then I would be able to share that collection with them. I would send them a link, and they would be able to view it on their computer. So collections were in the cloud. Not
Yeah,
all of your pictures are in the cloud, only what you choose to share in the cloud. You could turn a folder, a collection, even on and off. The one thing about, we haven't gotten to the cloud yet, but if you wanted to do that in the cloud, these, I don't think you can turn on and off. I think if when they're in the cloud, yeah, when these are when you put something in the cloud, you can't turn them on and off like you can a collection.
Do you have to pay extra for the cloud, or have you
No.
got?
Well, so if you have Adobe Creative Cloud subscription, you have Photoshop, you have Lightroom Classic, you have Lightroom, and you have 20 gigabytes of cloud storage, with the option to increase your cloud storage to 1 terabyte. I think, and I think that I wrote down the statistic here somewhere in my notes. Again, we weren't going to talk too much about the cloud. We weren't at the cloud yet, but
But if you have cloud, can you share, no matter whether you're a Mac or whether they have a
yes.
different phone, or does it?
Well, yes, you have to.
Android or
Yeah, you know, you
iPhone?
got it all. You have to download the app in your Google Store or App Store on your phone or on your tablet, and then you open the app, you log into your Adobe username and password, and it's the same whether you're Mac or not. That doesn't matter.
And how do you make the link you were saying to send to somebody?
I can do that in just a second. I just wanted to see, and I was just going to try to tell people that if you have the 20 gigabytes of storage, the average person, I know I have it written down here somewhere, how many images that typically would give you. Okay. 20 gigabytes might give you 400 to 500 images in the cloud. A terabyte might give you 20,000 images. Again,
hey, Joni, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Hey, you mentioned way back, you take 11,000 pictures a day when you're
No,
Why
a
the
friend
heck
of
do you
mine
take
did.
11,000 pictures a day? And what percentage of those 11,000 are competition pictures?
I don't know. It's just a friend of mine took the same trip I'm taking in September, and that's what he shot. He averaged 11,000 pictures a day on Safari.
It takes a long time to do good.
If you have 1% that are competition style, when are you putting your camera away from yourself that you can enjoy your trip? Share with me.
I'll tell you after September 20th when I come back. I don't know. I've never taken that kind of monster
Oh,
trip
wait, you
myself.
go all the way to Africa. What else are you gonna do?
I know.
What, eat the food there? Is that
I
it?
mean, you're shooting. I mean, this is off topic a little bit, but you're shooting a burst, and you want to, there's a lion going after a zebra, for a kill. I want every possible image to call through and say, oh, that's the best. I mean, I probably will shoot a lot of images.
It would
You
take forever
discriminate
to
on
get
what you shoot, or you just shoot everything?
Well, I mean, if there's action in the animal world, something's happening, like birds, I'll shoot burst rate. I'll shoot 5 or 6 shots at a time.
But you discriminate what you want to shoot, or you just push the button all day long?
No, you're looking for action. If the lion's sitting there for 20 minutes, I think one picture is just enough, as long as you've got the exposure right and everything, and it's in focus. Anyway, it's a little off topic, Gary. Sorry.
Yeah, but that's important for us to know why you take 11,000 pictures.
I don't know that I
It's
will. I'm
important
saying a
for us to
person that,
understand that.
yeah, I don't know that I will. That's just what this person said he did when he took the same trip. So I was preparing myself by thinking, how many cards will I need? That's all I was saying.
So the way that works is you have it on automatic and you have 20 to 30 images a second.
Well, I don't know that
When
you
you-
need to shoot that
When you
many,
press
but
the button, you just
spray
in
and spray.
2 seconds you can be,
Yeah.
Yeah, you just hold the
40
button all day long. You don't just move the camera around. You don't look at anything. You just hold
Oh,
the
no,
button.
no. I'm sure there's moving of the camera. I'm sure you're not taking pictures all day long. Again, Gary, I'm sorry. This is a little off topic. If you don't mind, I'm going to move on to Lightroom. Okay. Sorry.
That's okay. With Lightroom, why don't you go back and see what the audience really understands from where you are? You just keep on
Okay.
going on. Why don't you take a comprehension test here?
Okay. So is there anything that is people want some clarification on?
No, not yet.
Are you
I'm
going
gonna
to be
have to-
talking? Are you going to be talking about classic at all?
We can certainly open classic and do it, but I wasn't. This is not a classic training. This is really most people.
I just wanted to ask one question about classic, because I'll continue with classic, but when sometimes you're going out of classic, it tells you to update every week or something. That thing is not coming up anymore for me, and
That's a preference.
I went into it, and it still isn't coming up.
You
It
went
might
into
maybe
what?
after what I went into preferences.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it might come up yet. I don't know. Because there's things I've figured out myself. I got lost in the class you were giving me before. I think I'm a bit ADD, and so I stopped finishing it. But I'm figuring a few things out myself now. So I think I'll continue with classic. But
okay,
I'll continue. This is a little Greek to me right now, but I'll try
okay.
my
Well,
best.
I think that we're skipping around a lot and not really following the flow that I kind of wanted to flow, and really haven't gotten into the meat of this yet. So
Yeah.
maybe if we just give me a second to recompose and get back to the flow of at this point, I was just showing you and navigating around what I call the interface. It's like just to give you an introduction. So let me just move along, okay? And if we have time at the end, I'll open Lightroom Classic and we'll look at preferences. I'm pretty sure that's how you have to set that up. Again, I haven't used Lightroom Classic in 1.5 years myself. So, okay, so where are we now? We are in this folder and we're in grid view. And so we were talking about the export. If you have any questions, there's a help button up here, and this is the elusive cloud. It will tell you, how many pictures are in cloud, how much of your storage. I have 41 gigabytes of 1 terabyte used in my cloud. And it tells you if you're syncing. I'm all synced and backed up. So that's the cloud. But here on the right is probably where everybody wants, that's where you mostly spend your time in Lightroom, and that's the editing panel. This little set of lines over here are the editing panels. It used to be, what was the top one? Top one in Lightroom is, Alan, help me out.
Basic.
Basic. So they've regrouped some of the settings. Basic is now all your lighting settings, and the curve is here, tone curve, if you want to do the curves. All the color settings are bunched together. So we have the white balance, your temperature, tint, vibrance, the color mixer, color points, where you can select something. Click on the little thing, select this, and just target that, and change the hue shift of it, of all the colors that match whatever you clicked. And the color grading, where you can do color, just the highlights, the midtones, or the shadows. So all the colors are batched together. And just like in Lightroom, if there's this classic, there's an ellipsis here. If you click on that, if you want single panel mode, so only one panel is opening at a time, if I uncheck that, I hit light and open that, I hit color, that stays open, I hit effects. Now I'm scrolling up and down. I personally don't like to see that. So I go to solo mode, what's used to call, in Lightroom Classic, it was called solo mode, and now it's called single panel mode. So I'm going to check that. And then as I open the color panel, the light closes. And if I open the light, the color closes. So it's just a little easier for me to navigate along these different ones. Your effects, texture, clarity, they're all in one place here. And I don't think we've come across it yet. Let me look at something. So if you have sections that you see a little arrow, that means there's something else embedded. You need to open the arrow, and then this, all the other choices in a particular area will open up. So see these little arrows? That's closed, that's open when it points down. And I can even close the mixer and close my color. Detail, sharpening, denoise is in here. Optics is your remove chromatic aberrations and enable lens correcting. And then new since Lightroom Classic is something called lens blur, where you can choose, and I haven't used this yet, it's fairly new even, and I don't think it will work in here because there's so much white background. There's not a whole lot, but it must be mapping out the depth of different parts of the image, and then you can choose different areas that you can blur after the fact. Cat's eye. I don't think it'll make a difference in this image. Maybe we'll come to an image later that it will make a difference. That's a new functionality. So that's all your editing in these little bars. When you open Lightroom, you might not see your histogram. Again, if you click on the ellipsis, you can show your histogram or you can hide your histogram. And I like to show it. Difference in Lightroom Classic, I remember you could take the histogram and you could move these things left and right to just tone your images that way. That doesn't, I've noticed it doesn't do that in Lightroom. You have auto, you can change to black and white. HDR. I think you have to have more than one picture. Oops, sorry, didn't mean to do. Oh, don't do that. Did I just kill us?
No.
Oh,
No,
good.
it's still here.
Oh my goodness, because I closed the internet. I thought, oh, I just shut down the whole thing. And now I don't know what I just did here. Okay, let's turn that off. Let's get off of that. I don't want to do auto, and I don't want to do HDR. I'm going to Command Z a few times and see if I can get rid of that. There we go. Let's see. So now the next tool down here is the cropping tool. And it's not too different than what we already know. We can lock and unlock it. You can turn the picture, the crop different ways. You can change the aspect rate, enter a custom, do auto.
Hey, you're going very fast for me.
Yeah,
Can you go back to
I'm
HDR?
not.
You just mentioned HDR. Can you focus down a little bit more?
Yes, I can. The thing
Thank
about
you.
this, Gary, I'm sorry, Gary, I do talk fast and I apologize
Yeah,
for
can you
that.
go back to, you mentioned HDR. That's where I like to hear a little bit more information. Just
I don't
that it's
know.
floating over it.
I don't know about HDR. I've
Oh,
never
okay.
used this, so I don't know about this. I can certainly add it to my notes and get some information for you. What does this say?
Or can you focus
I'm
on the
just,
things that you do know about instead of just mentioning names?
I'm just showing you the navigation of the screen.
Well, for
And
HDR, you need to select several pictures and
that's
then
what I
apply
would think.
Yeah.
That's what I would think. And I don't have any examples in this particular folder for HDR. I don't think I did any anything in this particular folder that would do that. I don't know if
Probably
I
have
have
to
any here at
be
all.
in layers.
No, I
There's a
don't think
different
so.
folder.
Because Lightroom will do an HDR, they'll do panoramic, and they'll do some I think they'll do some focus stacking too, if I'm not mistaken. But if I was doing HDR, I don't think I'd do it in Lightroom. I've never have. So, and the other thing about this, Gary, is I'm not teaching Lightroom and how to use it. If you don't know Lightroom Classic or Lightroom, if you haven't used it before, this isn't what's going to happen tonight. This is really just showing you what you can do without having the catalog and without using Lightroom Classic. You don't have to import. Your pictures are already here. You go to your photo shoot, you edit your pictures, which all the editing tools are here. I'm going to show the navigation. I didn't need to do that, whatever. And when I go too fast, it's because this is the same as Lightroom Classic. There's no change. It's just I'm showing you where they are in Lightroom. Geometry is the transform tools. If you click on that, all the transform tools will open up. We have all of that in Lightroom Classic. We haven't lost anything in Lightroom in terms of editing, in terms of these toolbars. They're just organized a little bit differently. Here are all your masking tools. And if you want to create another mask on here, you've got your subject, your sky, your people, all the same masking tools we have in Lightroom Classic. And if I want to get out of masking tools, I have to click off it by going somewhere else like there. The other thing about Lightroom is it doesn't quite have all of the metadata that Lightroom Classic has, but it has all of the things most people would use at any time. The camera settings, the focal length, all of that's here. If you can put a title, you can caption it, you can add, I don't know what alt text is. Let's look at info, a brief description of the photo that can be accessed using assistive technology. Not sure what that means. Other description. Here's your copyright, your file name, when it was captured. You can add location, city, state. You can do all of that adding. But there's a lot more metadata stuff in Lightroom Classic than there is in Lightroom. This is really pared down and simplified. So if this is something that doesn't work for you at this point in time, this is all you have. And this tag, we talked about this a little bit, that's adding keywords. You can you change your screen size. Let's look at what this is versus this. This is if you have.
Joni, can you go back to the keywording?
Yeah.
I keyword as I import, since we don't import.
Right.
Could I just get the whole collection and then put keyword on it and they all will?
Yep.
Right?
Yep. I had done that at the beginning of the night. So I added it to one photo, but if I click on any of them, it's here. You can see it. I'm going to just scroll through the images. They're not going to look that different because I was doing some focus stacking stuff, I think. But all of these that are flowers in them have flowers. And when I get to the water droplets, I start going through here. Now those have water droplets in them. So I batch did that. I selected all of the ones that I wanted to add flower to, and I did flower. So you don't, because there's no importing, you just open up the images in Lightroom and you do it. There's no folder system or hierarchy like there is in Lightroom Classic. But if you start doing, oh, look at that. What are these? Oh, those are all my, you know what? That's new. That is totally new. So these are all my keywords that I've used in Lightroom Classic. I've not keyworded in Lightroom before. So all of these keywords that you're saying, seating that start with F, I just typed F in the top bar here. So all the old keywords that you had, you can choose from them. But they don't have a nesting system in folders within folders, like all my travel, and then you have different states or countries. They don't nest like that. They're just there. And I know you like to use that organization and you use that a whole lot. And for you, with your whole catalog, you'd have to import, like it would take you a long time to probably import all the information that you use. Because you do go back to your pictures in history. I know you do, which is something I don't. I mean, every
Right.
once in a while, but I'm usually just working on what I'm working on and I rarely go back. Okay.
Yeah, I'm jumping all over.
Well, I know that your workflow has always been completely different than mine.
And that's good. That's okay.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with that.
You know, you do what you feel comfortable with, and how you start out, you should continue. I just happen to be using the same system I started in 75.
Right. So let me just go over a couple of more things. So this is the water drops I did the other day, and I'm going to filter by my 5-star ones. And for me, 5 stars are the ones that I've edited and I'm happy with. I'm not saying they're perfect, but for me, they're fine. And if I want to put them in the cloud and I want to share, which I did, and I could actually take them out, but I have 32 pictures. These are in the cloud. So when I go on to my iPhone, my iPad, or any web browser and go Adobe.Lightroom and sign in, all of these folders are there.
Joni, stop for a second.
Yeah.
I don't see any numbers on these. Are there numbers on your grid here?
What number are you looking for?
Well, that's the problem.
I see numbers.
There's
but
no, you can see numbers?
what number is it that you're looking for?
Well, any one of them, I don't see any numbers.
How do you
You
know
mean-
Wolfram?
You mean
nu-
you can't see next to water drop that there's 32 images in the water
No,
drops folder?
that's not what I'm saying. So
Okay.
if you go to the first column, the first row, and you take the fourth one in, there's no number, or is there?
No.
There's a file name.
And that's it. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, you're talking about the numbers that you see in the catalogs in Classic. You know how-
Negative. In a grid, they usually number them, and if you change it, you'll see it number change.
Let me see if the local's in here.
It looks
So-
very small. I can't read it.
Okay, sorry. Let me make these bigger.
I
So
can't read any writing.
well, this is as big as I can make it.
Sorry.
Alan, just to go back to you. So like my file numbers are right here.
Yeah, I'm talking about the numbers on the grid. So it's
well, I don't even have the grid closed somehow.
We're on the grid right now.
Well, the grid is so on the grid. There's numbers.
Where?
No, I'm asking you. You're
Yes.
saying in Lightroom Classic, there's in the grid, there's numbers. Where are the numbers?
It gives
Where are
you
the
the
numbers?
They're right in
number,
the right-hand top corner.
right. It gives you the number, like the number 555, number 556, number 557.
Those are the
as
file numbers.
No,
No,
those
these
are the
these are
numbers,
numbering these,
the number of the image,
Oh, okay.
If
like 1, 2, 3, 4.
I'll
It
open
goes-
Lightroom Classic.
Yeah,
This might slow us down a little. That's the only thing.
right. That's in Lightroom Classic. I don't,
Yeah,
apparently
Think-
it's not in Lightroom.
yeah, no.
Okay.
I just didn't remember that, so I couldn't answer the question.
It's okay. You didn't have to open Classic.
All right. All right.
Joni,
Yes.
really quick question. How do you turn the stars off? Because I was trying to do that today, and
You
I
turn them
couldn't
off in
find
the
them.
filter or on the actual image?
No, like if I gave a picture a 5-star and then I said,
Oh.
I want to wipe it out.
Yeah. So I just hit 0.
Hit
So
0?
see how, yeah, see,
Or you double click on one.
Double click on one?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Joni, just as an aside, those water drops are amazing.
okay, hold on a second. I just want to make sure I just didn't lose one.
So that $700 machine was definitely worth it because you got amazing photos.
Yeah,
It wasn't $700.
that's fantastic. I don't,
$650.
No,
They are really cool, Joni. Good
Yep.
job.
If you want to buy it, it's 1,000.
Yeah.
no.
Well, Joni,
It
now
was 170 on sale at Thanksgiving, I think.
Or doing
is-
the water droplets?
Yeah,
Is
so
that
it's a
machine?
splash trigger.
they're
Oh,
cool.
yeah. I
But
think
Yeah,
I've
except now my whole thing isn't working here. I'm trying to get back to just, I think because this late, I'm just gonna quit this. It wants me to save.
But as a side note, coming
Yeah.
back to what Alan was saying about the numbers, yeah, I see that in Lightroom Classic, you have the numbers next to each picture, but honestly, I don't know what value it adds to the picture. It's just
Yeah.
I've used it many times when I'm in a group and you're showing your grid, and the person wants to know if I could blow up number 17, because they're actually seeing the numbers, and the numbers relate to, the new file, the new direction that you put it into. So it is helpful, but it depends on, what you do.
okay. Yeah, I never found it. I mean, it's a number, but okay, I can see what you're saying, that if you have somebody want to relate to a picture, that's probably the only way. But other than that,
Or go to column 2 and
yeah,
row 4, and
that's another way to do it.
yeah.
But,
I
yeah, I
mean,
don't see that numbering here.
one of the, so, I mean, you just would have to, I think I would just tell people go by the file number, the file name. Which I could rename this folder, this file if I want to, right?
Yeah, no, don't do that.
No, I'm not going to. I'm just saying I think you can. Although now I'm looking at it, I don't see it.
You got to select them all.
No,
No?
because you don't want them all to be named the same thing. You'd have
Well,
to
no,
do it
you
individually.
put it in series.
I see what you're saying. It would be here.
Can I ask you
Yeah.
a question about the
Yeah.
cloud?
Yeah.
I have a bunch of pictures in the cloud from back in the day when I was using Classic.
Mm-hmm.
I get rid of all those without losing the actual pictures and start over and add the pictures that I really want to put in the cloud instead of like everything.
I think what you have to do is, and I have it in my notes here, and I haven't done it yet, but I think you and I talked about this a couple weeks ago. I have to go back to some of the stuff. I think it's in here. Cloud. So you have to stop syncing Lightroom Classic with the cloud. You have to stop syncing everything and take all of your collections and take them out of the cloud. And then you have to bring your images into Lightroom and put them in albums versus collections. And then they will sync to the cloud, and you hit the cloud up here and you start syncing.
So all I have to do is take the lightning bolt off of all
Yeah.
the collections.
Yeah, and I think there's a quicker way to do it. I think if you go into Lightroom, let's see. There's a way, it is a quicker way to do it. And I think you have to go up to the cloud in Lightroom Classic and say, stop syncing.
Okay.
And then and probably unclick everything. Because you can't sync two things. You've never been able to sync more than one catalog, even in Lightroom Classic, to the cloud.
Yeah, well, I only have one catalog anyway, but I want to get rid of all of those because I was syncing stuff and it wasn't syncing correctly and it was
that happens too.
And I just want to undo it all and start fresh.
Right. Did you get Matt Koslowski's thing?
Yeah,
because it's in there.
Okay.
It's definitely in there. But with the Lightroom cloud, you can do a lot of the same things that you could. You can make smart collections now, Alan, which you couldn't do before. That's newly added. You
Yeah,
can make, yep, you can do a whole smart collection. If I click on here, create a smart album, they're called albums instead of collections. You title it flowers, because I know I have keywords that say flowers, and then you add a rule. Let's do keywords. Keyword includes flowers. See, now all my keywords from Lightroom Classic are here. I don't have any of these. Flowers. Any keyword that says flowers. Any keyword that includes the word flowers. Create a smart. So now, and so every time I put a keyword for flowers in any of my images, it looks like it created flowers too, because I had a flowers one. But see this right here, this icon, if you probably can't see it, but this is a different, this means it's a smart collection versus here's a regular collection. And there's the smart collection. So you can do smart collections now, which is cool. And you can do folders instead of folder. You can embed folders. You can have a travel and then have all your places you've been to in
that's
that.
all in the cloud though.
It is all in the cloud. But you can do that on your local too. It's going to just change your hard drive. I could, I could make in 2025, I could add create a new folder in 2025 call it whatever you want, gateway. All right. Maybe it's competition. I don't know, gateway competition. Let's say it's that. I can't spell, but. And so now I have a new folder in there and I can take images in my water drop photography. That's 5 stars, and I can click and move it into competition. And now I have it there. And if I go onto my hard drive on my desktop, 2025, now there'll be a folder called Gateway Competition. And I must have had a bunch of things selected because they all went in there. And these are the XMP folders that are next to them. Those are the words. That's the directions to edit an image. So you can see the 2301, the NEF is my raw, and the XMP is the recipe that changed the raw image to what I want it to look like. So in my mind, this is simpler to do this instead of importing, but it's not for everybody. Let's see. You can batch edit photos. You can copy and paste settings. So if I have a setting on this image, and let me just make sure I don't screw something up. Okay. If I have a setting on this image, I can copy all my edit settings. I can, hold on. I can click the gear and choose which one of the settings. Maybe I just want I don't think I cropped this one, but maybe I just want the light change. You can pick and choose which edits you want to copy from one to the other. You can right click, copy edit settings, go to the picture you want to paste them to, and then right click and paste them. There's 3 or 4 different ways, and you can do that. You can select 5 or 6 images, and you can select them all. You can and when this color wheel goes away, I have an example that I can do of this. I don't think I did any optics on any of these pictures, but if I did it on one and I select all the rest, I can copy and paste the settings to that. This is closed, right? Close that.
Now, Joni, just a quick question about, is it automatically saved when you make the correction?
Correction?
Let's just say you make a correction in any one image.
And edit?
in the edit, do you have to save it or is it automatically?
No,
Okay,
no, it's automatic and there's no history. But you can always go back and I gotta wait for this. You can always go, just like you can in Lightroom Classic. If you go, let's say you change the exposure and it's too bright and you want to set it back, you can double click on it to reset it. You can always move your slider. It's totally, nothing you do is undoable. You
Can
make
you
a
make a
mask, you
copy?
can delete a mask.
can you make a copy right from here too?
You can. Yep, you can copy. Let's see. Let me
It's a-
just do this. Let me
called a-
go back.
I think it's a duplicate copy now instead of a virtual copy, maybe.
It's not virtual.
Yeah,
You're
so
right
it's
about
just a-
here, duplicate. It's duplicate. So you can have different versions. So let me just go back to batch editing. So in this image, I know on these folders, none of them did I do remove chromatic. I didn't do that to any of these images. So I did that to one image. And I checked it and that's done. So now I go to the grid and I copy the edit setting on here. So I'm going to copy, but I want to just copy that, which is optics. So I'm going to undo all of these. I don't want to do anything else. I just want to do that. So that was under optics. I'm going to copy just that one setting. Now I'm going to select all of these pictures, except for that one. And now I'm going to paste. I can do it here somewhere.
Settings.
There it is. I can do it here, Command V. I can do it in here. There's copy and paste as well here. And there's copy and paste settings. And of course, the Command or Control C for copy and V for paste. So now if I go to any other image in here and I look at optics, you can see that that's been applied. As I scroll through these pictures, they've all been applied. So I batch edited all of those. And you can do a whole set of settings or you can pick and choose your settings.
Jenny, question here.
Yep.
So you make edits to a picture, and in Lightroom Classic, you can see the history of your edits, which is a lot.
Right.
Is there history here as well?
No, there's not history. But let's say here, I didn't like the contrast. I could double click this and it goes right back. I can decontrast it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can always change it back to where it was.
So it doesn't keep a track of your
Nope,
adjustments.
it does not.
Well, it keeps tracks, but it doesn't show you.
Yeah, you can't go through the history like you can. You're right. There's no history. Again, this is something they might add. I don't know.
I never even used history in Classic.
Well, there's history, and then you can take a snapshot, and you can always go back without losing information. There's definitely more functionality of those kinds of details for sure.
I do. I mean, I get to a point where I say, okay, maybe I can make some adjustments, and I keep going. And if I don't like it, I go back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and some people would make virtual copies and do it that way instead, and save so that they weren't messing up the work they were doing. There's and you certainly could do that this time too. You could do your edits on something and go, wait a minute, let me try something else without losing what I already have, and copy it.
Mm-hmm. So when you duplicated it, you're duplicating it with whatever changes you've made up to that point.
You know what? I don't know that, but let's take a look at that. So I'm gonna right click this. I'm gonna duplicate one photo. And if I go to the grid, here's two. So it was 316. It's weird that it puts it in front. This was the image. No, it doesn't. It didn't. There. So if I hover over it, that's the edited image. But when I take my mouse away from that, let me just unselect these things. When I take my mouse away, I could see that. Let's see when I open it up. Yep, it does have the edits.
Yep.
Yeah.
But now
Okay.
if you want to reset those, there's a way to reset all your settings. Reset edits. So now that's, I did crop. This is the drip pan, the beginning. I had it in portrait settings, so I had to crop all of my pictures. So yeah, so you can reset all this, and now you can start differently.
And it only
Because-
reset the copy picture, not the original edit.
Oh, I'm sure. I don't know that for sure,
Yeah.
but let's go back and check. I assume so. I wasn't, yeah, this is the image.
I thought so, but
Joni, could you show us again how you collapse the left or the right edit panel? Where you can open them up individually like in Lightroom, but then you collapse them?
Yeah, it's this ellipsis, these three dots
Yeah.
at the bottom on the right-hand side, and it's called single panel mode.
Okay.
And there's a bunch of other things in here too. Here you can go and take it to Photoshop, and you
Got
can
it.
take it from there, or you can go, I think it's edit,
edit info file.
file, edit in Photoshop, or edit in other, or you can right click and edit in Photoshop, edit in other. So
Okay.
one of the things I was going to show you tonight, so that you know, let's see, because I go
Do
ahead.
you have a plan to go into or talk a little bit about going into Photoshop and then back into Lightroom? Because I do have a question.
Yes.
I don't have to ask you if it's not.
Nope, it was planned. In fact, I was going to take it one step further because if you, I'm in a stupid thing now. When I right click and say there's edit in Photoshop, there's a drop down arrow there, you can edit in Photoshop. Like if you have several pictures you bring in, you can edit in Photoshop in layers. And I think it's a smart object too. Edit in Photoshop. You can edit in Photoshop, open as a smart object in Photoshop, or if I have more than one image selected, I think I can edit in layers.
Right.
Now it's
So-
going to slow up on me again. And then the other thing is, now it's open as layers in Photoshop, which I don't really want to do because that's going to slow us down. The other thing though is I'm probably going to mess this up. See if I can stop this. No, I'm not going to stop. And I want to delete this. So I just deleted that duplicate copy. I don't want to get into Photoshop right now. I didn't really want to do that. So those two images, if you did see though, those two images are here, are opened as layers.
Okay.
You can see that right there, right?
Yeah.
The other thing that I wanted to do, and I wanted to do it specifically in this one. I had these three images that the end. Oh, that's not it. Water drop. This one. Sorry. These water droplets I was doing. Because these little wires that I was working on, I couldn't get them on the same focal plane. I know these last pictures I focused on the last three pictures I focused on this drop, and then on the second one I focused on here, and the third one I focused on here. So I want to take these three and go into Helicon Focusing Status software. Well, I've never used it in Lightroom yet. So when I right click on these three images and I want to edit in, Helicon's not listed there. So that browse should be active though. This command do. I have to add, if you can see, I have Topaz AI and Adobe Photoshop 25, and those are the only ones I've used so far. So, but if I hit browse, it will take me to my Launchpad or to my hard drive, my applications folder, and I will be able to pull up Helicon and tell Lightroom to talk to Helicon so that I can go what I call round tripping from Lightroom directly to Helicon. Of course, a lot of people like to go, and we can do that next, from Lightroom to Photoshop and back again. It works exactly the same as Classic. Exactly.
Well, my question was basically, if you go to Photoshop and you send it back to Lightroom, and then you decide, oh, I want to do something else to it. When you open it, that Photoshop file again, and bring it into Photoshop, you don't have your layers.
So you do if you saved it as PSD or a TIFF, which is an option when you save in Photoshop.
Yeah.
And if you don't make any edits on that image in Lightroom, the minute you make an edit on the image in Lightroom that you brought back from Photoshop, when you go back into Photoshop, you don't have your layers, it flattens it.
Okay. I think I found that out the hard way.
Yeah, you have to, I'm trying to think of a workaround for that.
I think the workaround for me would be make a copy of it and not lose
But I'm thinking that too, but I think that if you do that, I bet the copy is not layered because you're not copying it from photo. If Lightroom still doesn't know that that image has layers because Lightroom can't see layers. So I don't think you'd still be starting from scratch, but you wouldn't be losing your layered version.
But what if I made a copy in Lightroom, I mean in Photoshop, and then
And had 2 layered copies?
have 2 layered copies and then kept one.
Give it a slightly different name, like version 2 or something. maybe.
Yeah, that's the only workaround I could think for
How do
it.
you make a copy when you save it as a copy?
Yeah.
So now you're saving it on your hard drive, which you would see in Lightroom because you
Right.
don't have to import it. That's a workaround. Well, let me get to that in a minute. So anyway, so I'm going to add Helicon Focus. So when I right clicked and browse, it's browsing to my application folder and I just scrolled down and I found my program Helicon Focus. I'm going to open that. Helicon, you say tomato. And open in Helicon. Now let's wait a minute. I don't want to do that because I want close it. Because I want 3 images. And now open, edit in. Oh, see, why won't it let me? That doesn't make sense to me. The whole purpose is of doing like a Helicon. See how it's ghosted out when I have 3? That doesn't make sense. All right, so let's take these into
Photoshop.
Let's take them into Photoshop and open as layers. And then do I take them into Helicon Focus? I haven't used this a whole lot. Do I
You could, probably. I don't have Helicon Focus, but
but they have Photoshop and both Lightroom does too. They have
Maybe
Photoshop does an okay job.
Yeah.
Joni, is it the file format that Helicon doesn't like, or?
No, because I've used raw images in there before. But I am gonna I was just thinking of something and now I lost it.
You could merge those.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Right click, enhance, photo merge. They do HDR panorama and HDR panorama, but Lightroom doesn't do focus stacking.
Yeah, you have to go into
Photoshop
for Helicon.
Right. So now if I take these 3,
Select all 3 layers.
Select all 3 layers.
Yeah.
Now go to edit, align layers.
Oh, right. Auto align layers.
Auto align layers. Yeah.
I haven't done this too much either, obviously.
An auto blend.
And then go back to edit and do auto blend.
Right. Stack, not panorama.
Yeah, it pretty much sets up the defaults for you.
I don't know why this was my 105 macro lens, and look at the vignetting I've got on here.
What you're using as your backdrop, is that a computer screen?
No.
Or just card?
This is a photo that's on foam core.
Oh.
So I don't think it's that. So now when I look at all this top layer, merged layer should be as close to in focus as I can. So now, what's over this? What's this one? Okay, so that opened up. I don't need that. Don't save. I just want to answer Beth's question. I just want to don't save. So now, so here now, I know I only just X out of this, and this image will go back to Lightroom as a TIFF, I believe. But you can do file
Wait.
save, and it does the same thing, or Command S. But I don't even do
you-
that. I just X
If you,
out.
are you saying if you just close that image without saving it?
No, then a save
Oh.
box comes up.
Oh, okay, yeah, and then, okay,
But I don't have to go file. It's easier for me to just X out and then save it.
yeah. But then you have to close it. You go up to file and close, or else it doesn't.
Yeah.
No,
I could do
it's
Command S.
closed. Yeah, you can do Command S too. So now my little status bar, you can see it's saving in Lightroom. And I think it comes out before this, I believe. But you'll see the different, oh, here it's after, of course. No, there it is. It's in the middle. Look at it. It ended up going in the middle. So these are the
weird.
3 images that are selected that I went in. I know. So you just have to pay attention. That I know it's because that's a TIFF. So then I would come in here and obviously crop it, get rid of the vignettes. But I kind of saved that to show you guys that I had to use, and now I have to figure out why Helicon, why it's not letting me do Helicon. And in Photoshop, you can go to Helicon, right?
Mm-hmm.
It does better
In
than,
Classic, you can too.
yeah, I know. So I'm not happy about that, unless it's something I'm doing wrong, but I don't think so. Maybe I'll ask Adobe about that. Oh, but that answered your question, Beth, about round tripping,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. We did batch editing. See if there's anything I missed here. So that another note about the cloud, just so you know, if I have an image in the cloud and after I put it in the cloud, I'm not actually, when you're in Lightroom Classic, collections are just another way to sort your image. You're not making a copy of it. So if you make an edit in the folder and that image happened to be in a collection, that edits went to the collection as well. In Lightroom, that doesn't happen. If you have, once you move, you're actually copying the image with the edits to the cloud. And then once the picture's in the cloud, it's separate from the picture that's in your folder on your hard drive. And any edits you make in the cloud will not be seen in your image in the folder, and vice versa. Does
That's
that make
real-
sense?
it
Yeah,
makes
it's not.
Stupid.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah,
I
maybe
think there's a
that'll
reason.
change.
There's a reason. Yeah, I think there's a reason for it. But
So Joni, if you decide to go through your stuff one day and you want
Yeah.
to delete a bunch of them,
wait a minute. What
like,
stuff?
well, let's say you're going through images and you decide there are 25 of them that are garbage and you want
Yeah.
to delete them. Where
Yeah.
are they being deleted from? The cloud?
No, if they're in the cloud, yes, you're removing them from the cloud, and you're only doing that copied image that you saved to the cloud. But if you're on your local drive, and because you know how you can, when you go through, you're culling through your images, you can pick,
Right.
or you can star, and you used to be able to color rate. There's no color labels in here, and you can X.
Right.
X marks them, and then when you go to edit, remove all X's, they're removing them from your hard drive. Because
Okay,
you
but
didn't import because you didn't import anything into Lightroom, you're just doing whatever you're doing is affecting the actual image on the hard drive if you're removing it.
So they never went to the cloud.
If you didn't put them in the cloud, right?
Okay, so if you were talking about the 20 gigs and the storage capacity,
Yeah.
I have about 140,000 images. I'm not saying they're all good, but I have 140,000. If I wanted to use Lightroom, am I taking my hard drives and uploading them all to the cloud where I already have to buy like 4 or 5 terabytes of space?
So the only reason you want them in the cloud is if you're maybe sharing them with somebody else. Do you know what I mean? That's what I use the cloud for, to share with people or to share on Facebook, things like that. I
that
would
would-
only put my favorite images in the cloud. I wouldn't put all of my images in the cloud. All
Okay,
of my
so-
images are on hard drives and then they're backed up with a
Okay,
service.
so they're, as with Lightroom Classic, they live in your hard drive, you have a backup system and, you know, whatever you decide to have. So other than the catalog, like all of my stuff now is in a catalog. So if I understand correctly, it has all my changes that I've made, even if, like Alan, I go back 10 years and decide to pull out a picture of one of the kids and I want to rework it because they have better software now and the eyes were too soft.
Right.
If I go and do that, I'm just going back to my hard drive of 2018. It has nothing to do with the cloud.
Right. Unless the image is in the cloud. If you put it in a collection called grandchildren and all your or a smart collection, you know, and all Ben's images and, you know, then and it's in a collection, then that's different.
Okay, so the collections that I have on Lightroom Classic,
Mm-hmm.
they're in the Lightroom Classic catalog, but they're not in the cloud because I never put anything in the cloud.
Well, if you're in a collection, you have an option of clicking the box next to the collection and syncing it to the cloud.
Okay, but it's an option that I don't.
Right.
I think what's confusing me, and these things often do, is where things would be located and not located if I or anyone decides to go from Classic to just Lightroom. So as much as I hate the catalog system, because I screw it up a lot, I think for somebody who screws it up a lot like myself, it might be safer to actually stay with it because it's probably saving more information.
Andrea, can I just say a little something about Classic versus Lightroom?
Yeah.
If you don't mind. I thought the same thing you did about making the switch to Lightroom because of, you know, I thought I would miss the catalog even though I hate it with a passion. And I've screwed up my catalog more times than I care to remember. I made the switch. I didn't exactly find everything. I had a bunch of missing photos that I never did find, Joni, but I don't care. I gave up. I said, if I find them along the way somewhere, I'll find them. Otherwise, I don't know what they are. So I'm not really going to miss them. So I'm not missing Lightroom Classic anymore. It's so much easier, and you still have access to all the photos that are in your Lightroom Classic catalog, but you just access them through the local drive.
Okay, but Joni, did I also understand you to say that if I was in Lightroom and I wanted to search through all my yellow dahlias, it would not search all the way back to the beginning of when I started photographing dahlias? It would only do whatever, like where they were, or I couldn't search and have everything come up that had keywords yellow dahlia, or could I?
The images, let me think about this. The images that, let's go look.
You can only search a folder at a time.
That's true.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of something that I have. Is it in here maybe? This might take a minute to do this too. So if so when I'm in Lightroom, like as I am now, and I'm looking at these folders from 2022 that are on an external hard drive that I never worked with in Lightroom, only Lightroom Classic, and at the time I might have done keywords. I can't see those keywords or those edits right now. I have to actually tell Lightroom Classic to put the XMP folder with, I think it stores it in the catalog, and you may even have had a choice about that, if I remember correctly, where you wanted your XMPs to be stored. But I believe you have to make sure all that XMP is moved to the hard drive out of the catalog, and then you'll be able to see it
Oh, Lord.
in Lightroom. And if you have 150,000 and 25 years of images, you're not going to do it all at once. I would say if you want to do that, do it as you need the folder. Do it as you work on the image, not, or say, okay, this week I'm going to take 10 folders from 2020, and I'm going to make all the data show up in Lightroom from Lightroom Classic.
Okay, yeah, I think as bad as,
In batches.
yeah, as bad as my mess is, I think.
Well,
if
here's the thing. This is,
yeah.
I'll just tell you what I decided to do. Ooh, that's some really beautiful picture, isn't it? What I decided to do was from October 2023, I think, forward, I only used Lightroom, period, on all new images that I photographed. And if there's anything in 2020 that I want to look at, then I'll take that information and bring it over, because I don't often go back. Now, that's not to say I won't do it. I just haven't yet.
Right, but how would you even know, like, what, so you'd have to go back to Lightroom Classic and look back to 2015 and say, gee, I'd really like to move these over. Or
Right.
do, or migrate, whatever.
Well, I'm not moving it. All I'm moving is that sidecar that has the
Right.
recipe for whatever edits you did, and keywords and other metadata, star ratings, picks, things like that would then be
Okay.
moved over. I just
Okay.
haven't done it yet,
Right, okay.
but I know I can if I want to.
Right, well, that clarifies a couple of questions I had. I'd be buying myself even more trouble, so. Okay, but I'm very much enjoying this, and by the way, I love the water drops. These are like the greatest ones I've ever seen that you've done.
Well,
So
that
I'm
I've done, yeah.
impressed. I'm impressed.
Thank you. It took a little in the beginning, and it's still a haphazard. You could see there's, well, I think I X'd out all the ones that didn't actually have a drop. I don't know what the hell this picture is. This picture should have been, I don't know why this is such a, what is this picture? I can't even tell. Again, these are the raw images. If I edited it, not that this is anything even worth editing. I don't know what this is.
So,
Anyway.
Jody, would you say that if you're new to Lightroom and Lightroom Classic, then the Adobe that people maybe should think about doing Lightroom as
Yes.
Yes,
Classic?
Yes.
definitely.
100%. I think that, again, Alan's got, you guys have, some of you have workflows that you've used and they've worked for you. I was like Beth. I had messed up my catalog so many times. Alan tried to help me one time. It was impossible. That was like 10 years ago, right, Alan? It was
Yep.
hard. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah, but you've come a long way there, Jody.
Well, granted, I'm just saying the whole import process, just like it doesn't, why do we need to import?
Yeah.
I don't, the benefits aren't worth it to me.
So
For
I
the
have
simplicity of just having the images on my hard drive, here they are, and as slow as this looks tonight. What is this? What is going on? This, like, if I put on this picture, what's the grid look like? My workflow would be anything that's in this Harwich Bells Park Conservation Area. Those are my final edits in progress. I haven't worked on it. Oh, okay, so here we go. I don't know what the heck that was. Like it was an outtake or something. All right, so this is coming up, but this is better. So let me see what this is. I just want to see if there's any edits on these folders.
There's 5 stars on some of them.
There aren't there? So the only thing I can think of is that I know in Lightroom Classic, there's 2 ways. You can save your sidecars next to your image on the hard drive, and maybe I've done that. Because you're right, I see stars on them. Not on all of them.
Yeah,
That's
those
interesting. I haven't really gone back and forth like this myself. I've only read about it in theory. And I was trying to see if I even wrote notes about that. I thought I did. Getting certain photos from Lightroom to Lightroom Classic, into Lightroom from Lightroom Classic. Yeah, see, look at that. Whatever this is.
Click on
I'll do a
auto just
grid.
for the heck of it and see what it is, how it.
What?
Click on auto edit and it's in the light
No,
thing.
it's
Just
not
to
even,
see.
look at, it's not there. It's not even there. And I want to do grid, which I thought I had and it came out. Plus, this is a DNG. I don't
Then
know why.
iPhone
I,
picture.
it shouldn't be. And I don't think even iPhone is DNG. Because this was back in 2022. Interesting. Oh, so anyway, I was going to go back here. So this is where, in this area, I've talked about in my notes. You need to force save the information into a sidecar in Lightroom Classic. You have to be in Lightroom Classic, and in the library module, I've got the whole thing. You select the images of or a folder you want to have everything show up in Lightroom. Go to metadata at the top menu. Let's see if I can. If this went so slow, maybe I need to do this. It's a 8:45. Maybe I need to have a second session where we do that, and I migrate some of them. Yeah, see, why is that in there? That shouldn't even be there. That should be an outtake.
It works really well. I've done it and it
Oh, you
does.
did try it. Oh, okay. That's an outtake. There we go. Some of these shouldn't be in this. I don't know why they're here. I would have moved these into outtake. So now if I go here, they are starred. And my edits are here.
Yeah.
Ooh, look at that chromatic evolution. Ooh, look at that. Oh, what's the blue line? I'll have to play with that. Anyway, so I think there's a way that at some point, because these images, I never touched these in Lightroom. I only worked with these images in Lightroom Classic. Lightroom wasn't even a thing in 2022. You know what I'm saying? So I'm surprised. All I can think of, there isn't something in preferences. There is something in preferences that you can choose when to have your XMP files saved with the photo, and I must have done that. So I don't have to.
I did that, and that happened. I have pictures after I saw you.
Oh, okay.
I noticed that there were a bunch of XMP files that were in there that I hadn't saved that day. So I went back and they were set already. So everything I bring in is already has.
So
no.
Andrea and Alan and anybody else who, Marion maybe, maybe you don't have to do this whole migration process. Maybe you've got it saved the same way. I would go into Lightroom and open up an image you edited in Lightroom Classic and see if you can see the edits and your star ratings. That's why, you know what, it's interesting because when I first learned about Lightroom, when it first came out, those keywords didn't migrate from Lightroom Classic. And you saw how when I clicked on F, all those keywords from Lightroom Classic that I've used over the years showed up. And that surprised me. I know they've done some updates, and because I don't use that stuff so often, I didn't even notice it, to be honest with you. So maybe they'll add color labels. I know people like color labels too for certain things.
I do miss color labels.
I used to use color labels if I had images that I wanted to do panoramas or HDRs or focus stacking. I would put color labels on those so I could see them right away. Okay, these are the images that I want to take into whatever.
Yeah.
But the other thing, the workaround for the Photoshop thing is if you know what, you'd have to make a have to think about that, Beth. I mean, you just can't make any Lightroom edits. You can go back and forth to Photoshop and your layers will all be there as long as you did not make any. So, I mean, like you said, maybe you make a copy of the TIFF folder and you work on that in Lightroom, but then you still have your Photoshop copy as the original.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you want, after you work on that copy that you edited in Lightroom, that was a copy of a TIFF, I wouldn't think that when you went into Photoshop, it would open in layers. So I think you have to do all your edits that you want to do in Lightroom first and go to Photoshop or do that would be, you know, I probably don't even go into Photoshop. Maybe only 20% of my pictures go to Photoshop. Not even. Yeah, Marian, sorry.
If I have photographs on my hard drive, and can you copy them as well onto the cloud and still have them on the hard drive?
No,
If-
I don't
Oh.
think that you can copy your images from a hard drive into the cloud. You have to be in Lightroom.
So I'd have to take them into Lightroom again, but then I'd
No,
be
no,
afraid.
no, no. So in
Oh.
Lightroom, there's no taking them into Lightroom. You have to, but you have to, Lightroom it's the Adobe cloud. It's not the Apple cloud or the Google Drive cloud, whatever. You know, when we're talking about the cloud, we're talking about Adobe's cloud. It's very specific. It's not what the Apple cloud is. They're two
So
different clouds.
they can only be in one place. They can't be in the cloud and on the hard drive at the same time.
So when we're in Lightroom, we can see everything on the hard drive. And if we take one of those images that you like and you put it in the cloud in Lightroom, that image is now up in the cloud, and whatever you do to it, you won't see in your hard drive, and vice versa.
That's what I want to know, because if I wanted to share, but I like to keep everything on my hard drive, so I don't do as many pictures as a lot of you do. So
right. The cloud is really a vehicle for you to use it, whether you're home or away. You're on your phone, you're on your tablet, you're on another web browser, laptop, on the internet, or you take those images and you share them.
And can you
with
make
somebody
folders?
else.
Can you
But
make
they're
folders
copies.
in the? Can you make folders in the cloud, like I do for
Yes.
hard drive? I make folders, and whatever shoot I did has a different name. So if
Yes.
you
So they're albums, and these are all the albums I have. And you can take, you can create a folder and call it, let's see what I'm going to call it. So I'm going to call it travel or family. And then all of these albums in here that have to do with family, let's say family, right?
yeah.
This is just an organizational system. So now anything that has to do with family, I have, let's pick someone, Evelyn Newborn. I'm going to take this, I'm going to move it up here. And now this is still shared in the cloud, but it's under the name family. It's just got, you can organize it into, family is not an album. It's just a folder holding an album of pictures. Family can't have any photos in it itself because it's a folder. But in the folder is an album called Evelyn Newborn, and that's synced to the cloud. And right now, if I went on my phone, I would see a folder as well as maybe I add a travel folder, create folder, and call it travel. And then my things from London, my things from Iceland, or, you know, each of those places I've visited, I could, so you don't have this whole line of albums, you can organize it. And then when you're on your phone, your tablet, you'll see that same organizational structure.
Joni,
Yep.
I just tried took an image in Lightroom Classic that had been edited and opened it in Lightroom. And when I opened it in Lightroom, the keywords and the flags appeared in Lightroom. The edits that I did in Lightroom Classic were taken into account in Lightroom, but the sliders were all set to neutral. The sliders were all reset.
Interesting. So
The
what
edits
did
were
you do?
applied. Oh, wait a minute. I take that back. I just looked now. Temperature has been slid down. When I did light was all normal, but yeah. Yeah, it looks like it took some of them, but not all of them.
Huh.
Maybe it auto adjusted. I don't know. It was crazy. But the
Or maybe it just took a
adjustments that I
minute to
had
show
under
up.
the adjustments that I had in Lightroom Classic didn't seem to all carry over, because I had exposure and highlights and shadows and so on all adjusted in Lightroom Classic. When I go to the light sliders in Lightroom, they're all set center line.
Interesting. So what did you do in Lightroom Classic again?
I took an image that I had previously edited in Lightroom Classic.
Right,
Okay. I had it set as 5 stars. I had a flag set
right.
on, and I had made several adjustments on the sliders, you know, the highlights,
Yeah.
shadows, so on and so forth. I opened that same image from the folder. I just went into Lightroom, went to the folder where that image
Right.
is stored on my computer, and I opened it in Lightroom.
Yeah.
And when it came in, the image looks the same, like all the adjustments took place, but the
sliders were zeroed out.
The sliders were centered.
That's weird. That's because that's a completely different experience than what I just had. And again, I just think it's got to be a preference. But why would it even view that way? Like
I
you
don't
shouldn't have
know.
even. I mean, well, there's another thing in Lightroom Classic though that's called smart previews. And so you can maybe it's a smart preview that you're looking at. Alan, help me out here.
I don't
Does
know.
that sound possible?
I don't use smart previews.
Oh, okay. I was just trying to get.
I think that just bogs us down well, bogs me down.
So what is the purpose of a smart preview?
So you don't have to reload it every time. So every time you open up Lightroom Classic, it looks at the previews that are embedded in the file itself. Because when you take a photograph, you're actually taking a snapshot on a JPEG inside your file, and a smart preview puts it to the forefront so that when you open it up, it automatically is looking at the smart preview rather than the small JPEG that's in there. So
isn't the smart preview isn't the smart preview a small JPEG?
Yes, but it's not the same as it is embedded in the file itself, because every time you take a photo, it's actually taking a preview of it, and so this becomes a bigger preview. It's more used to load it quicker.
Right.
Oh,
But I don't use those because it bogs down the machine. I got 900,000 images, and
Oh shit. I have 6,000, so.
Joni, I take it back. I just noticed it did not bring in the edits because I had some people that I removed in Lightroom Classic, and when I opened it in Lightroom, the people were still there.
Right. So I think you have to do this thing that I was talking about before. In the library module, select the images or a folder that you want to migrate, and go to the metadata at the top menu and save metadata. Then click over. There's a whole recipe of what to do. Click overwrite settings. Let's see if we have time to do it.
Doesn't take long if you do it piecemeal. You know, you
Right.
don't try doing your whole catalog, but you know, if you do it a folder at a time or whatever, I did that. And then once you do it, once you set it up, then everything from that point on gets, anything
Okay, so-
new that you shoot gets automatically brought in that way.
Hmm.
All right, so let's go to, I'm just gonna test it out. Well, see, it's,
And I had XMP files. I have the XMP files on my hard drive where when I opened up in Lightroom, there is an XMP file for the image I opened up, but I guess it just didn't read it.
this is taking its own sweet, because it's a large, this is taking a sweet, this is gonna take a long time before I can see these pictures, I think. Now they're all grayed out. All right, so there's a picture of Evelyn. That's just a grab shot one day. So let's say I'm gonna read the recipe now, just so we can do one of them. In the library module, select the images or folder. We'll take the whole folder. There's only one picture in that folder, so that's fine. Well, let's do this one. And we're gonna go up to I'm gonna select them all, right? I assume I have to select them. All right. Let's do it in the right application, Joni. Okay, now they're all selected. Select the images, go to metadata. I'm in the library modal. Where's metadata? Thought it was going to be up here. I'm in library. Where do you think metadata is?
Seems like maybe is it covered by the Zoom bar?
Oh, we lost your screen.
Yeah, I'm seeing trees. I'm seeing your background from your screen.
Oh, you're kidding. You're not seeing my Lightroom?
No,
You're just seeing your trees.
right.
Oh, that's just this. I'm going to stop sharing and try
Okay.
to share again. Okay, do you see my Lightroom now?
Yeah.
No, we just see a black screen that says Joni has
Oh.
started sharing. Double click to enter full screen mode.
Interesting. I must have done the wrong thing. Hold on. I must have made a mistake. Let's see. Zoom. Stop sharing. I'm clicking stop sharing, but it's not doing it. Okay.
Hello.
Hi, share desktop, right?
Yeah.
And you're just seeing a black screen again.
Double
Interesting.
click.
Double click?
It says double click to enter full screen mode.
Yeah, I don't think
That's on
that's
your
the
own
problem.
computer, Marianne.
Oh, is it? Oh, sorry.
Huh, let me try one more thing. I know there's another option when I share, but I thought I wanted the desktop.
Well, is Lightroom open on your desktop? It should, then you should
Yes.
be able to just click on Lightroom once you're in the desktop.
I know, but that's only going to do that one application, and I'm switching back and forth between Lightroom Classic, Lightroom, Photoshop. I want my whole desktop to be shared.
Okay, yeah.
So I chose desktop one. I can see Lightroom, Photoshop, and Lightroom Classic and my notes, but I want all of those to be shared. So I'm clicking on desktop, entire screen, share. There it goes, right? Now you got it.
Yep.
But then I open Lightroom Classic. Can you see that?
Yep.
Yes.
All right. And I'll open my notes. Now but it does say in the library, I'll select the images that you want and go to metadata on the top menu, but metadata isn't on the top menu. Oh, there it is. Now it's metadata. There it is, metadata on the top menu. I'm gonna have to, I can't see both of these screens at once. There you go. So those are selected. Metadata at the top menu. Save metadata.
Don't do a huge selection, Tony.
All right, you're right. You're right. Let's do 3
Do
pictures.
5,
All right.
because they'll take forever.
Metadata. You're right. I'm not seeing save metadata. I see sync metadata.
I see copy metadata.
Maybe it's already been saved.
Maybe. The only way to know
That's
that.
why I
So,
was thinking.
so this was 2018.
If you've already saved metadata on some of those pictures in that file, then it's already saved.
Right.
So we'd get the XMP for
Yeah.
all.
And not
Yeah.
all photos are generating an XMP unless you did something to it.
Right.
Oh, absolutely. But if you didn't do anything to it, it's going to look the same in Lightroom as it does in Lightroom Classic. Yeah. This is interesting to me because I don't seem to have to worry about any of my images. This is 2018 and I can see stars. I can't because it's so slow. I want to double check this, but
I think it's because you've already told Lightroom Classic to save to save the metadata already.
right. I must have been doing that right along.
Yeah, because I noticed when.
So I can't show you because.
Right.
Yeah.
But
But that's what you would do.
It does work because I tried.
And the directions are here
Yep.
in the notes. That'll be this. So save, overwrite. If you go to Finder and look at your folder, so what you're doing is saving the XMP to the right next to the image. Because even if I go in here, close this. Let's see. I have to wait till this gets. There we go. If I go to these hard drives, right? And I open this up. Let me just see if I open my pictures up 2018. I would expect to see all my XMP folders next to something. Next to each image. That's my expectation. Yeah, there they are. So all these XMP, so I don't have to migrate anything. They're all going to be in Lightroom for me. And that you guys will have to test your own system out and see if they are for you. So Frank, you said it did work for you.
Well, when I opened up Lightroom, I have the XMP files saved on the hard drive. Because
Next to the image.
That's the way I save in Lightroom Classic. I work with
Right.
XMP files, not DNG.
Right.
So the XMP file was there, but when I opened up the image in Lightroom, it did not bring the edits over. The people that I deleted were still there. The sliders were not where they should be.
I think if you try doing it with the way in Joni's just directions about, saving the XMP, try 1 or 2 of those and so, oh my God, that's so cute.
I just did, but when I went to
But look,
try to
mine
save
are
the
there.
XMP file, when I went to click on save metadata, it was grayed out because there's already an XMP file there.
But your edits aren't there. That doesn't make
sorry?
sense to me.
I
But your
know.
edit,
It's almost like Lightroom isn't reading that XMP file.
I would call
It
Adobe,
should.
honestly, because I know, look at, here are the edits right here. I don't know if that was, those are edits. So they're there and the stars are there.
Yeah. Okay.
So. Oh, I probably made people more confused than I hoped to.
I
Right?
think that's because people sent you in a lot of different directions.
Yeah.
Well, there's obviously a lot more questions about this still. I mean, when it comes to workflow and editing, a lot of this stuff isn't going to change for me. It's just that I'm not going to have to import pictures.
So so when you say import,
right,
you import to Lightroom Classic
to the catalog. Yeah.
to the catalog.
Yeah.
For Lightroom, where are you importing? I mean, you're
I'm
still
not.
You are,
no.
Joni, you are importing it onto your hard drive.
Yeah,
I am copying
Uploading, she's
images.
uploading to her hard drive.
I'm copying images from my card reader to a hard drive.
Okay.
And even if the card reader is in my computer, I can see it in Lightroom. I don't have to. I don't have a card that doesn't have pictures on it already, but I could see them. Well, you know what? I do. Here, hold on.
Everything that you have attached to your computer will show up on the left-hand side of Lightroom, whether it's an external hard drive or
a flash drive, an internal hard drive, a CD, whatever.
Right.
Okay,
Exactly.
so it shows up on the left where all of these folders are, all these.
Yeah, just like your Finder window.
Okay.
Or your Explorer, whichever you use. All right, I just plugged a card reader into my computer.
Yeah.
And it's the last one I use, so the pictures are already in there, but I just want to show you. Here's my Nikon Z8. That's the card reader. And here are the pictures. Okay. They're right there.
Okay, so it's sort of like my pictures on a PC.
Right.
Well, it depends on where you put them.
And you notice there's
Look
no
at this. Look at Classic is open, so it's automatically wants me to import them because I don't want to import them. I'm going to close Classic or minimize it anyway.
So what I was saying
go
was
ahead.
that if you noticed that her files did not have the XMP files.
No, because those
they-
are on my flash drive. Those right. That's on the card. So what I wanted to show you was if I go in here into local and I collapse these down, you should be, here's my Nikon Z8. So I haven't reformatted this card. So here's the images unedited somewhere. So I'm gonna say this. This is not, why not?
So you show the folder
I am.
and you go to the next one.
To the next folder.
Oh, to this one. Gotcha. Okay. It took a second to open up. Anyway, whatever you plug into your computer, you can see in the local under browse.
Okay, and that's local. So then, okay, I think probably, Joni, there are going to be a lot of questions, and I've got to go back and watch the recording again. So I have questions that I might want to follow up with you with, and I'm wondering if there's some process that those of us who've seen this and have the questions can do it again, or it's a big ask for you. But
No. I think that what the best thing to do is to email me the questions, let me do the research, and then create another Zoom. So everybody can, so, because some people will have, there'll be the same questions might be asked by several people. So one question from you could help, a lot of other people too.
So, okay, yeah. I don't want to belabor it tonight, but okay. Yes.
Well, anyway, I wanted to show you though that I did plug in, this is my card reader, the Nikon Z8. And if I take this out, this will go away in the local folder under browse, because this browse is just copying everything that's on your computer, external drives and everything.
Open up the next file, the next line down.
Yeah.
Well, I can, but see, I've got this little spinning wheel of doom here.
We don't see it.
that. Yeah, I don't see that.
I don't
see it?
either. Yeah.
You don't see the color wheel?
No.
No.
Oh,
no.
I love this little color. That means my computer's thinking. I mean,
yeah, it thinks in color.
Yeah, it thinks in color.
Erin, the one thing, the first important thing the first important takeaway from Joni's
Presentation.
class tonight, yes, is that you are not importing images from your card. You're uploading to your external hard drive from your card, and and Lightroom, regular Lightroom, not Classic, Lightroom will see those images on your external hard drive or wherever you put them. If you put them on your computer, they'll show up on your computer.
So when you put your card in, it will ask you where it wants.
Lightroom will see the card, but you don't want to keep it on the card. You want to put your photos on a drive somewhere.
Right.
So you're going to
Okay.
drag them into the folder that you want them in, but you're not importing into Lightroom, you're uploading into
All
your.
right. Those are two key words, I think, importing and uploading. Yes.
Yeah, you're uploading to your drive from your card. And Lightroom will see it wherever it is.
I
If you
call
do-
that importing.
If you do that though, and go directly into your hard drive, can you open them again in Classic?
Yeah, then you have to import them.
You have to import them into Lightroom Classic.
So if you put them into a hard drive and then you want to put them into Lightroom Classic, you go to the hard drive and somehow then from that hard drive you import into Lightroom Classic.
Right.
Or you
so
go to Lightroom Classic and import them.
Because I found something all right. It said folders plus, and then you could go press the plus, and you can find them in my pictures, and it'll come out here without it opens up in Lightroom Classic. I only found that out, I think, last night.
And what was that, Marion? You said if you.
Well, I always brought them in. I always import through Lightroom, but I didn't know how to bring them back in because I don't do all the keywords or anything. So I have them in folders, and the folders have names like Ireland 2025 or whatever you do. And then I went on Classic and it had folders and it had a plus beside it. So I went into that and it said, where do you want to look? And I went into the folder on my pictures, and it opened up on Classic, and I was able to adjust things again.
I'm really lost because I have to step back and say, okay, so you take some pictures, you go into Lightroom Classic and you import them, and they're in your Lightroom Classic catalog. And
Well,
then
I
you
don't
say
know where they're there because I don't know if they're in the catalog. I always just say export them into the hard drive on my computer into a specific folder that I've already made up on the hard drive.
okay, why are you wait, why are you exporting your pictures onto your hard drive from Lightroom?
So that I know where they are. I know exactly where they are then.
I know.
So now when you export, you're making a copy of the picture. Now you've got two of them. You've got one in Lightroom in your catalog from wherever you imported, and you also exported it onto your desktop in another folder.
Yes.
Like Lightroom should be organizing for you.
My pictures, I put it into my pictures. I thought Lightroom only has a picture of it. It doesn't have the actual file.
Right, it just points to it. You're right. All right.
Yeah.
So when you, maybe this is what you're saying. So when you photograph and you take your card and you put it in a card reader and plug it into your computer, you are
I'm importing directly from the card into Classic, and then
right. No. Let's back up. This is where it's confusing. So you don't import from the card too. You're in Classic. You hit the import, and you say bring all the folders from this card through Lightroom and put them on the right hand side. Where are you going to put them? you're gonna be in your pictures folder on whatever drive. Maybe it's your internal hard drive, it's the picture folder. So you import them from the card reader to Lightroom and into your pictures folder.
Yeah.
Okay,
In a separate folder in my
correct.
pictures.
On the right-hand
Yeah.
side, it says where you're going to import your pictures to. You're going to import them to your pictures folder. Okay, now I got it.
Yeah, because each one that I alter on
And you can choose
Lightroom,
within pictures, you can
export.
say Ireland 2022. You can choose, there's a subfolder
Yeah.
system within that. Okay, now I remember that.
Yes.
Okay.
And then
That's what you're saying.
each photo that I adjust,
Yeah.
each one I export one at a time, and I put it into that, because you
Wait a
browse
second.
and you
Wait
put
a
it into
second. Wait a
that.
second. Exporting is something that you do from Lightroom back to your hard drive. For example, if I had an image that I want to submit to competition, I would export a finalized image from Lightroom Classic into a folder on my hard drive saying competition and subfolders for whatever it is, nature, whatever,
Yes.
what year, month, whatever. So that's exporting. But you don't export every single picture on Lightroom, do you? Into another folder?
I put them, the ones that I think are okay, I put them in the hard drive, and then from there on, I open them in Photoshop from that hard drive folder.
Okay.
That's my way of doing it, because I don't, everything else is
The benefit
confusing.
about Lightroom is that it what we call round trips to Photoshop. Whether you're in Lightroom Classic or Lightroom, you can click on an image in Lightroom Classic, don't export it, just the picture you want, and you want to bring it to Photoshop, you right click on my earphones at night. And
Or go up to photo.
yeah. And edit in Photoshop, and you do all your edits in Photoshop, and then you decide, okay, I'm all done, and you save it, and it saves it right back to Lightroom. So you don't have to export it to your hard drive. I mean, this is way beyond the scope of tonight, but in general, you don't have to export it and then bring it to Photoshop and then save it on you so that you have all these copies of the same image. That's the benefit of Lightroom, and one of the benefits, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, what I do,
You're
and
not
I
using
think
up all that disk space. You're making all that using up a lot of disk space.
so. I think I do what Marion does. I import to Lightroom Classic, then I work on the photos. And if I like something that's going to go, say, into multi-club, I export to a multi-club folder in my pictures.
Right.
You're
But
exporting.
if you're going to use it, if you're going to go to Photoshop from Lightroom, and then you're going to save it back to Lightroom, aren't you?
Yes, yeah, it goes right back to Lightroom. The only time it goes to a folder in my pictures is when I think I'm going to use it for any
Somewhere
kind of
else.
competition.
And
Right,
you're
exactly.
also,
Well,
you're
Or
exporting.
send it to somebody in a
I found it better to put it into the hard drive, and then if you want to do multi-club or whatever, you can take it out of that into Photoshop and copy it for multi-club and change the image. This is the way I do it. I know I don't do as many pictures as you, so that's a great way for me to understand it. And then they're in folders, and I have the larger pictures, and if I want to send them for web or send them for competition, I resize them as a copy, and then I have them in a different folder. I make a new folder for that on the hard drive. So that's
probably a
my
JPEG.
system.
If that works for you, that's great. That's at the end of the day, that's all that matters. What works for
I
you.
very rarely save PSDs anyway, because if I'm happy with the pictures, very seldom because the PSDs don't show up a picture. You have to go through them to see what's in the picture. Do you know what I mean? Now I might start saving PSDs plus JPEG, and then I'll see which picture it is.
So what we're seeing on your screen now, Joni, is what came up from just putting the card into the computer.
Right. So what I just did was I just ejected that card, because that's what I just ejected that card. And now when you look at local and browse, the Nikon Z8 folder that drive isn't there anymore because I ejected it.
You took it out.
Yeah, I took it out.
But the pictures from it.
Well, because I had already moved those onto my 2025.
Okay.
They were in here. Get rid of this. What did I put anything in there?
So maybe, Joni, what
Yeah.
might be helpful at some point for those of us who are really, well, speaking personally, very slow. So taking and I see what you're saying about the advantages of Lightroom over Lightroom Classic, which I think was one of your intentions for tonight.
Yeah.
To talk about the advantages of it and how you can then edit on Lightroom, which is similar to Lightroom Classic. It's just laid out a little differently. But to take us from putting in the card and then what steps you do next and next as different from Lightroom Classic.
Well, I don't do import. I just have to copy them from my card reader to a folder on a hard drive, and then they're there. I'm done. It takes way less time. I
Yeah,
don't
but
worry
so
about, you can always see where everything is because it's in your folder structure, just like your Finder or Explorer. You know, here, this is the Finder for Apple. And, you know, here's all the drives that are attached to my computer. Here's other
right,
folders,
okay,
you know, my desktop, iCloud, whatever. It's the same system. Whatever you can see here for what's on your computer, attached to your computer, is right here. So, well, it's right there, actually.
yeah.
And this is what's Joni Rich, the home one is my actual internal hard drive. These are all drives attached one way or another.
So when you put, okay, so when you put in a card, the images from that card show up on your screen, or do you tell I don't know. I'm not gonna, I don't
Okay,
want to go
okay,
into
here we go.
trick.
I'm putting the card back in now, and I'm going to go to my desktop. This is my desktop.
Yeah,
And in a second, it will show up. All my drives show up on the right here. So here's, this is the card reader, the Nikon Z8. That's the card reader. So I would take the pictures in here, because I haven't deleted or formatted them yet. I would take the pictures in here, and here's my water, and I would copy them all, Command A, and I want to
oh,
put them
okay,
in.
so we missed that step. Command A, would you copy
Well, you
them?
know why? Because the card wasn't in there for me to do that. So I
Okay,
would select all these images and then I would navigate to where I want to move them to. So I want to move them into my 24-25, into 25 folder, and I have water drop photography right here. So now I would click and drag, which I'm not going to do, but I would
right,
click and drag all of them over to here, and that's what I did yesterday. Once I do that, I eject this. I don't need it anymore. I've already copied them. I eject that and I go into Lightroom, and because 25, the folder 25 folder is in my favorites, it's right, they're all right here. And then I edited them, then I starred them, da 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 da. Then I put some in the cloud. So that's the overall workflow.
So if you export from Lightroom, say you're sending it to the web or somewhere which will be a smaller picture, will you still have the bigger picture?
Yeah, yeah. Yes.
But you have to size for the web or size for the competition.
Right. So let's say I wanted to put this one in competition, right? I'm going to use this export button up here on the right, and I'm going to go to custom settings, and my long side is going to be 1400. Copyright, I'm going to name this, water drop. It's going to be, I'm not doing more than one, so I don't have to start with anything. I'm going to output for screen, and then I'm going to export one photo. And when I export it, oh, I guess it wants one. I don't, it wants one. It doesn't need to have one. Now I have to say, where do I want to put it? Well, I usually put them in for competition. I would go to the iCloud drive. I would go to my desktop. I would go to, I'm gonna do Gateway, GCC. These are not organized. GCC images, whatever. You know, then I would move wherever I wanted it, maybe a new folder, water drops. wherever you want to put it, right? Wherever, whatever system you use.
Yeah.
So that's the export process. So now I'm putting that picture, and when I click export, that picture will show up in that folder, GCC images 2324. September, I think it was, but I'm not going to do it. I'm just saying, when you export, you navigate to where you want to go. You want to go to pictures and then a folder and whatever, wherever your system is, you
So,
navigate in this
yeah.
window, and then it will go there.
Part of my problem is I'm trying to do both a Mac and a PC, and I'm getting confused about that too. So that's my problem. That's my personal problem. So that export sign up there is the square
Yeah.
with the 3 dots on top.
Yeah, it's like the universal share.
Okay.
You can share the original, you can make, these are the,
Right.
it says previous settings, but honestly, the custom settings are sticky, whatever I had last. It always pops back up.
So, all right. Well, thank you, John. Thank you.
So
Yeah.
like I said, anybody, I feel like I was really disorganized and all over the place tonight, and I apologize for that.
No, it wasn't your fault, Joni. It was
That
all
was-
the questions
No.
that were coming
Well,
at.
we all have so different systems that sometimes it's confusing. We have our ways of doing things, and I'm sorry if I don't always understand your way.
Oh,
Right.
no.
I
No,
think
don't
as
need to
Alan,
apologize.
as Alan pointed out too, and I think because
Man, I
people
lost a lot of people, huh?
yeah, and people were asking questions and getting you off track. So, and that's easy.
And I tried, I'm sorry if I lost my patience. I didn't mean to.
Oh, no.
You
It's
know
just,
what,
I think,
Joni, you did a great job, and
yeah.
It's complicated. It takes a long time to learn things like that.
I thought it was
Well,
terrific.
if people have questions, and I'll send the video out when I upload it to YouTube, which I do not know when this will happen.
Okay.
Maybe Thursday I'll have time. I'll upload it to YouTube and I'll post it on the website, and I'll send the link out in an email. And in that, I will say, please, I'm happy to have another session in a couple of weeks. Please think about your questions, email, and give me some time to research. I have those 2 questions. Yes, sir. Are you raising your hand, Alan? Or you just
No,
stretching,
my hand gets tired.
cramped?
you know what might also help, Joni, is if people try it to take a few pictures and like go through the whole process of bringing it into Lightroom without even using Classic.
Right.
And that way if they have questions, it'll be easier to put the questions in, to formulate the question.
Yes, Susan.
What I've been trying to say for a little bit is that I think people are confusing copying and moving pictures from one place to another and importing. I think that people have to be really, because I learned that's what the big concept that I got today is, and it's very helpful for me to I don't know if I'll use Lightroom, but is you just put the pictures on the drive.
Right.
Doesn't have to have everything done through Lightroom Classic,
But basically the same thing is happening in Classic, only it's also importing it into your catalog. So, I mean, there's a little bit of difference. One's just importing it onto your hard drive, and then you're able to view it. Whereas in Lightroom Classic, you're putting it into the catalog as well, but you're still doing the same thing. You're putting it onto your hard drive.
The problem, I think, with the Classic, though, that people, and it tripped me up for many years, is that you would lose pictures and you didn't know how or why you moved something. Obviously, I moved it outside of the catalog and did it on the hard drive. And then once you do that, I mean, finding them was never as easy as the tutorials made it look.
No, it's never as easy as the tutorials work.
Right.
Because they're only doing 5 or 6 of them they lost.
I have 12 or 15,000 pictures that are missing out of my Lightroom catalog. I cannot find them anywhere.
Well, they're actually not on your hard drive.
They're somewhere that some of them
The
I know
OneDrive we
are,
looked at, they're not there.
no, there are
whether you got-
some.
Oh, there are?
There are some. I found a
Oh,
few,
I know. They weren't in folders.
right. But I have found some, but I said, you know what, I can't spend my life trying to find 15,000 pictures. I just said, if I can't find them, I can't find them. And if if there's stars, there's some that have 4 stars or 5 stars. I'll deal with those when I decide I want to find out what they are. And
So I've used, sorry,
no, that's all right.
I've used Lightroom to find images that are missing in Classic. So because I'm looking at the hard drive instead of the catalog, the hard drive's giving me all of the photos that are already on the hard drive,
Right.
and I'm able to view them. Before it was using Bridge, but now that Lightroom is available, I've used Lightroom to find it on my G drive in, the 2020 folder, which is on the date that I have it, because I import everything by date rather than renaming them
Right.
like other people do, which is perfectly fine. And this is
Right.
how you adapt it to the system.
Well, our
But-
all brains are different. We all work differently.
Right,
So.
but now I know where they are, and then I can go back into Lightroom because I've copied the place of where these images are, and then I can just import them into Lightroom as a lost file. Once I know one, I have all of them imported into the system because I'm doing everything that's part
So I
of
have a question on that. So if you do that and you import it or re-import it, as it were,
I'm not
what about the
re-importing it, I'm just
sidecar?
saying here's where it is.
Right. So, you're just telling Lightroom where it is.
Right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, because you can have it in a folder and it's not showing up in Lightroom, but once you know where the folder is, it'll import into the catalog system the place of where everything is.
Right.
The problem I
So-
have, Alan, is that not all my missing photos are in a folder. Because
Where the hell are they?
They're
They're-
individual photos on a drive. They're not
I
organized.
got lazy and I would just put them on the drive and then so now they're all missing and they're not in folders. So I have to find them one by one and I'm like, F this shit. I'm not
No, but
doing it.
so
Yeah, I
you've got
think it's-
Apple. You can actually tell Apple to find date number December 12th, 2019.
Yeah, but
and
she
you'll
might not know
find
that.
all of the images that are on that date, and then you can actually import that whole bundle of things into your system.
But how do you remember what date you took a
You're right.
photograph? That's
Right.
why I every time I go out and shoot, I make a new folder. And that's exactly where I put all them pictures and no other picture. And that's how I do it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise then I know where to go.
I don't, so I personally leave my original in the date, and then I change it if I'm going to export it into the gateway
Yeah.
competition. So I rename them at that point, but everything remains in that date because, like I said, I've been doing this since
Date and file
1970.
name, right?
Yeah, date and then the file name.
Right.
Well,
I've
the
been doing
file,
this.
yeah,
Good.
the file info tells you what date you took it at. If you go down the
It
file
doesn't
info
tell you
bar.
the year though. My camera only gives me the month and day
Well,
and
you probably
number.
can set that up in your camera.
Well, I have the year set up on my camera, but it doesn't, when the number, the file number does not have a year on it that I saw. I'll have to double check that. I don't think it,
So let me just say that everything that you put on your camera gets embedded into the file itself. You might not be able to see it, but everything is there. You just happen to be if you look in your classic and you go down to the metadata, you can open up all these other things, all these properties that you could have embedded into the file when you originally took the photo.
Mhm.
all that is transmitted into your camera, into your computer, because it's embedded into the file itself. So you can actually search in the metadata all that information because it's embedded there. So
Okay.
it's got the date, unless you set it up wrong, it's got the date. I actually have a copyright in my camera and it says copyright Alan Kadowski.
Mm-hmm.
And every time the camera is taking a photograph, it's actually embedding into the file that information.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
that's extractable all the
that's
way around.
something you'll have to teach us about, how to do a copyright, how to copyright your photographs. Do you have to pay for copyrights?
No,
And if you go into the resources and links in Gateway on the Gateway website, right?
I
Yeah.
think you covered it.
I did cover it.
How to do a
I'm gonna-
copyright?
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can figure out which one it's in here.
Because I think somebody showed me, but it told us, and I was trying to do it.
It
Didn't
might
work.
be lesson 7.
Yeah.
But what
Oh,
I'm saying,
lesson 10. Lesson
uh,
10, keywords, filters, and metadata.
And where did you
But-
say to get that, Joni, on the Gateway site, go
Yeah,
into
hold
the?
on. Hold on.
Lesson 10.
Yeah, let
Um,
me, I'm gonna share I'm gonna share my screen again.
So, but what I was saying that as your camera takes the photo, it's actually embedding metadata onto the image itself inside a file, as well as the small thumbtacks.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all being embedded into the file itself, and you can extract that with both Photoshop and Lightroom, when in Lightroom Classic, and a lot of other programs, because the data is always there. So you need to set it up in advance in your camera to put your copyright on it, because I don't want to worry about it. It's always going to be there, and when you open up the metadata, it's always sitting there. So you just got to figure out how to do all of that. All of this, Joni, you did a great job tonight. I really
Geez, I
thought it
didn't
was
feel
a
like,
good
so let
overview.
me just show you on the Gateway website, there's resources and links.
Resources
And-
and links, okay.
And then under the resources and links, there's a Lightroom SIG, and that's what I did like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And I think lesson 10, keywords, filter, and metadata, is probably the video you want to click on. It takes you to YouTube. And
Let's see how we are. Oh, there's Frankie.
I know. So anyway, and then if you want to also read the notes at the same time, my notes are there too.
Okay.
Joni, it's amazing.
Oh, that's good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Work that
Yeah.
went into that was incredible.
What?
The work that went into that was incredible.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you
mean,
so
it's a few
much.
hours a week.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gents.
Thank you,
This is great.
Joni.
I'll send the link out. I'll send the email. I think best recommendation is good. If you have questions specifically about Lightroom, try it yourself for a week or two. You can always import the images. You
Mhm.
can always go back to your old workflow, but take
Sorry.
and
Can
then
you have
send your question.
Can you have Lightroom and Classic at the same time?
Yes,
on
I
your
do.
computer?
I do
Okay.
both.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do both.
And
Okay.
and Photoshop, and I mean, there's a bunch of products. If you have the Adobe Creative Cloud, there's a whole bunch portfolio for a website. There's a lot to it. Get a lot for your money.
Oh,
Thank you
thank
very
so
much.
you.
Joni.
All right, hope to see you
Thank
all
you.
tomorrow night.
Good night,
Yeah,
everyone.
that's right, in person.
Beth,
Right.
are you
Okay.
coming
Sure.
out tomorrow night
Where
What?
to the meeting?
Framingham?
Yeah,
Yeah, do we want to do Szechuan?
sure.
Has anyone started that discussion?
What time?
What
Yeah.
time?
I just got a note from Sal asking for Szechuan at 5 o'clock.
All right, let's do it.
All right.
All right.
I
be
probably
there
won't be
by-
there till 5:15, 5:30. I drop
Yeah.
Logan off at 5, but I'll be there as
Right.
soon as I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Saul and I will have to leave at 6 to go set up.
Okay.
I'll
yeah,
be
we'll
the
go.
carrier,
was set up.
Joni, I'll be
Well, I
there.
can, maybe I'll see if I
say
can
that-
leave my grandson off a little early tomorrow
Okay,
night.
I'll have to
Or
be
you
there.
know, we all order the same things anyway, so just order.
Just
The only
order.
different thing is I get the egg drop soup, but I could, that takes 2 seconds. I'll get it when I get
Yeah,
there.
Greg knows what we get.
We'll see you
All
all.
right.
All right,
All
good
right,
night,
5
everybody.
o'clock,
Thank you.
big fun.
Thank
Okay,
you, Joni.
good night.
Good night.
Thanks for your patience, Joni.
Thank you.
Thank you, yes.
Thank
yeah.
you,
Thanks,
Joni.
Joni.
You
Take
kept your
care.
cool, kiddo. You kept your cool. Yeah.
I don't know
Good.
about that.
Yeah,
You were
you
very
should.
I'll talk to
good.
you later.
Good night.
Okay.